Chapter 34:16. In the following decades, under the lead of the local snake, giant star crocodile, Night Sorrow did not encounter many battles. He successfully arrived at the periphery of the Sea of Sun. Along the way, he had several signs of advancing to half-step Supreme Realm second grade several times. In the end, they were all intercepted by the Fiend Flame Death Curse, making him very depressed. His desire to get rid of it became even stronger. After arriving at the periphery of the Sea of Sun, Night Sorrow opened the sea serpent's eye and began to observe. He discovered that there was no danger at the entrance of the Sea of Sunday. He immediately looked at Giant Star Crocodile and said, "Your current size is still a little conspicuous. Can you become like me? Supreme Grade Servant Manga." "I can, but I can't fight in human form." Giant Star Crocodile also looked at the entrance of the Sea of Sun and said. He was still very wary of this place with an extremely bad reputation. "Then become about my size and enter with me." Standing at the periphery of the Sea of Sun and observing for a while, Night Sorrow felt that the Fiend Flame Death Curse in his body was somewhat restless. It made him even more eager to enter. Hearing this, Giant Star Crocodile said, "Okay, sir. I'll go in with you." But on the surface, he agreed very easily, but in fact, his body was trembling slightly. Clearly, he was afraid of something. "You're a half-step Supreme Realm 4th grade expert at any rate. Facing such an environment, what's there to be afraid of?" Sensing the fear of Giant Star Crocodile, Night Sorrow said somewhat speechlessly. "Sir, you don't know. I have a premonition that we will encounter a terrifying fellow that is very difficult to fight against inside." At this moment, Giant Star Crocodile looked in the direction of the Sea of Sun and said, "Oh. Was your premonition accurate in the past?" Night Sorrow asked in a deep voice. He discovered that the giant star crocodile in front of him was trembling more and more violently. A strange feeling immediately rose in his heart. Actually, it's not entirely a premonition. In this Sea of Sun, there's something that makes my divine soul tremble. I don't know if it's a powerful cultivator or a terrifying environment. Giant Star Crocodile continued. He could sense some things that Night Sorrow could not. Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow said, "No matter how dangerous it is, I have to go in. If you're afraid, why don't you enter my space grotto heaven or divine artifact? Forget it, let's go in together." The giant starry sky crocodile thought for a moment before speaking. It was afraid that it would enter Night Sorrow's space now. They would be brought into the solar flame and burned to death. "In that case, follow me." Night Sorrow used his divine sense to scan the map, and then led the starry sky giant crocodile towards the entrance of the Sea of the Sun. When he was far away, he didn't feel anything. When they were within 1,000,000 miles, they immediately felt an intense flame aura. As they continued to enter, the surrounding temperature began to rise. In the end, it grew to a terrifying state. Night Sorrow and Celestial Alligator both released their protective divine domains, but they still felt very uncomfortable. This kind of heat was different from ordinary flames. It was a bit like roasting one's heart. It caused a clear sense of annoyance to rise in his heart. On the other hand, the demonic flame death curse on Night Sorrow's body became even more violent and restless, roaming wildly in his body. It caused many parts of his body to rise with black gas. "Sir, what's wrong with you?" Seeing Night Sorrow's state, the giant crocodile immediately asked curiously. "The curse in my body has been restless ever since we arrived here. I feel like I can't suppress it anymore." Night Sorrow explained and said, "Where can I find the solar flame that you mentioned?" "This is called the Sea of the Sun. There are countless suns here. Just find any one of them. However, the closer you are, the higher the temperature. It's not easy to bear." The giant crocodile looked into the distance and only saw a patch of white light. It was so bright that its eyes hurt. "If the solar flame is ordinary, how can it remove the demonic flame death curse on me? Let's go." Night Sorrow said and used the sea serpent's eye to open a path. He chose a target and flew over with the giant crocodile. At the same time as they flew away from the entrance, 3 figures appeared in the Sea of the Sun at the same time. These 3 people were Jing Hai, Bai Wuji, and Murong Xiu, who had been sent by Nan Gonghe. Looking in the direction that Night Sorrow was flying, Bai Wuji said with some disdain, "This night demon's strength is really pitifully weak." "That's right. He and that giant crocodile are no match for us at all. I wonder why Nan Gonghe sent the 3 of us together. It's like using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken." Murong Xiu also agreed. She obviously didn't put Yisheng in her eyes. At this moment, Jing Hai reminded them, "The 2 of you must not be careless. You will be at a disadvantage if you underestimate him." "Haha. Is it because you lost to him once that you're afraid of him now? Don't worry, with us here, you won't be at a disadvantage this time." Hearing Jing Hai's words, Bai Wuji said with disdain. He and Murong Xiu were both half-step to the Supreme Realm 4th stage geniuses. Usually, they could fight half-step to the Supreme Realm 5th stage. They did not take Night Sorrow, a half-step to the Supreme Realm 1st stage opponent, seriously at all. "All right. Should we continue to follow or widen the distance?" Jing Hai said noncommittally. Bai Wuji's arrogance made him feel a little uncomfortable. "Widen the distance for now. If necessary, we will close in on him," Nan Gonghe said. Bai Wuji said as he looked at Night Sorrow and the giant crocodile in the distance. Someone is following us." Just this glance made Yisheng feel that something was amiss. Although he did not turn back or release his spiritual strength, he felt that someone was behind them. "Who is it? Who would follow us here?" The giant crocodile said speechlessly. If no one was following them, he could wait for Night Sorrow outside the solar flame. But now, he could only follow him in and tie his fate with him. "I'm not sure. Let's pretend that we don't see him and continue to do something." Night Sorrow paid more attention to the person behind them. However, he did not turn back to check as he did not want to alert the enemy. Then, he brought the giant crocodile to a scorching star. He asked, "Enter the center of this star and stay there for 3 days and 3 nights. Will my demonic flame death curse be removed?" "There's no need to enter the center of the star. Stay on the surface of the star for 3 days and 3 nights. The demonic flame death curse will be removed," the giant crocodile hurriedly explained. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would be burned to ashes if he entered the center of the star. The suns in the Sea of Sun were completely different from those in the outside world. The intensity of the flames was terrifying. Even a half-step to the Supreme Realm expert would find it difficult to bear. "All right. I'll enter the solar flame and think of a way to remove the demonic flame death curse. You have entered my eternal divine tower. If you stay outside, you will definitely be surrounded and attacked. The gains do not make up for the losses." Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to the giant crocodile and kept it in the eternal divine tower. Together with them, they flew towards the scorching star in front of them. www. Chapter 34:17. Just as he approached the celestial body, Night Sorrow felt an unbearable heat to his soul. This heat was much fiercer than the mountain of flames. Even though Night Sorrow's body was very strong, it was still difficult for him to withstand it. He immediately activated the Green Phoenix armor and released his divine territory. He activated the Treastrimsa Star Ruin's secret technique and destruction divine ability. Then, he used the defense seal on himself. He raised his condition to the peak without burning his bloodline and gradually stabilized in the solar flame. As Night Sorrow was being roasted by the solar flame, the demonic flame death curse in his body immediately erupted. It began to affect his condition. "I'm waiting for you." At this moment, Night Sorrow began to use his power of merit to block the demonic flame death curse. He did not use his power of merit earlier because he was waiting for this moment. After the power of merit was completely released, it immediately purified the demonic flame death curse. At this moment, the demonic flame death curse disappeared again. The power of merit could not find the exact location of the demonic flame death curse, so it became alert in Night Sorrow's body. Phew. Fortunately, the demonic flame death curse is afraid of the power of merit. Otherwise, it would be difficult to deal with. The situation is temporarily stable. After Night Sorrow used his power of merit to drive the demonic flame death curse away, he immediately sent a voice transmission to the celestial crocodile. The celestial crocodile laughed. Haha. Then I'll congratulate you in advance for successfully removing the demonic flame death curse. He was really happy because Night Sorrow had promised to return his freedom after removing the demonic flame death curse. I hope those people behind us won't come and cause trouble. Night Sorrow, who had calmed down, continued to send a voice transmission. Sir, I don't think they will seek trouble by entering the solar flame to deal with us. The most likely thing is that they will wait outside. The celestial crocodile thought for a moment and analyzed. He knew that even a half-step fourth stage supreme realm would find it very difficult to enter the flames in front of them. It would be very dangerous to fight. Therefore, no one would come in and perish together with them. I hope so. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he became silent and persevered in the flames. 2 days passed like this. He could even feel the demonic flame death curse weakening. His mood instantly improved. As time went by, the time they spent in the sun flames was getting closer and closer to 3 days and 3 nights. When there were 6 hours left, the giant celestial crocodile was completely relaxed. Jing Hai, Bai Wuji, and the other two wanted Night Sorrow to open some kind of treasure. Naturally, they would not attack him. He congratulated in advance, "Congratulations, sir, for successfully dispelling the devil flame death curse. I didn't expect your talent to be so outstanding that you could persist in the flames for so long. It's not over yet. Don't celebrate too early." Night Sorrow, who was still persevering, said calmly. At this moment, although it wasn't too difficult for him to persist, he had a bad premonition in his heart. Another 4 hours passed as his mood fluctuated. At this time, Night Sorrow could already feel that the demonic flame death curse was about to die. Only then did he relax a little and prepare himself for the arrival of the second stage of the half-step paramount realm. However, right at this moment, he suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. He suddenly became alert and sent a voice transmission to the giant celestial crocodile. "If a battle breaks out, do you have the ability to attack in the sun flames?" "Sir, do you mean that those people are going to attack us?" The giant celestial crocodile immediately asked in confusion. "I'm not sure if it's them, but I can already feel that danger is coming." Night Sorrow replied immediately. At this moment, the giant celestial crocodile said, "If I go out, I should only be able to persist for 10 to 20 breaths and use a unique skill. All right. If I need you to attack, don't hesitate. Just use your last move to deal with me." Night Sorrow said and released his soul power to search for the source of danger in the sun flames. With this search, he immediately discovered that there was a huge fire demon on the planet he was on. This fire demon's cultivation was at the 4th stage of the half-step supreme realm. However, its aura was obviously stronger than the giant celestial crocodiles. Moreover, they were in the sun flames. It would definitely have an advantage in battle. "Since you've discovered me, then accept your fate of being devoured." Originally, the fire demon was prepared to attack Night Sorrow before the 3 days and nights arrived. Sensing Night Sorrow's soul power, it immediately spat out a large amount of flame essence at him. Once this essence appeared, the surrounding flames instantly became even more intense. "You want to devour me? I'm afraid you don't have the ability." Night Sorrow, who was in the flames, had basically adapted to the heat after 2 to 3 days of tempering. When the fire demon spat out the flame essence, he used the heaven inverse roaming dragon art to dodge. He dodged the scorching flames in front of him. Then, he took out the golden heavenly halberd and desolation war halberd and shot out the icefire mother-child spear at the fire demon. After the icefire mother-child spear was shot out, he used the divine essence trap array and the defense seal. Because the virtue power in his body was suppressing the devil flame death curse, he did not use the virtue trap array. If an ordinary ice attribute attack was used in the sun flames, it would definitely be incinerated. However, Night Sorrow's Icefire Mother-Child Spear was not affected by the flames at all. It went straight for the core of the fire demon. The Night Devil's control of the power of ice and fire is indeed terrifying. Murong Xiao, who was watching the battle from afar, immediately praised when she saw Night Sorrow use such a powerful ice and fire attack. It was obvious that she agreed with Nan Gongha's words. As for Bai Wuji, he continued to say indifferently, he only has some ability in these two types of attacks. Look at him. When he fought the giant alligator and the fire demon, he always used the Icefire Mother-Child Spear. At this moment, Jing Hai smiled and asked, Senior Brother Bai, do you have the confidence to break the Icefire Mother-Child Spear? Of course. If I meet him in a few days, all of you just have to help me. Watch how I blow him up. Bai Wuji said confidently as he watched the battle in front of him. Just as he finished speaking, Night Sorrow's attack suddenly bombarded the core of the fire demon. It was directly sent flying. Seeing that Night Sorrow had the advantage, Murong Xiao smiled and said, what do you think we should do if the Night Devil is no match for the fire demon? Should we rush into the sea of fire and rescue him? If the Night Devil is really no match for the fire demon, we really have to save him. After all, according to Dean Nan Gongha, only he can open the door to the treasure. This is really a little awkward. After all, we are mortal enemies. Jing Hai said with a fake smile. I think that although the Night Devil is not as strong as me, it shouldn't be a problem for him to deal with the fire demon. You don't have to worry. Bai Wuji, who was watching the battle, said with certainty. Although he looked down on Night Sorrow's cultivation and combat strength, he judged that Night Sorrow could win. Chapter 34:18. In fact, Night Sorrow's current strength was about the same as the fiery demon that he was fighting. However, he still had the Eternal Divine Tower and the giant crocodile as his trump cards. Therefore, he was very confident during the battle. In almost every round of confrontation, he dared to use his life on the line. Under his sharp attacks, the fiery demon's attack and defense were quickly reduced by more than half. The fiery demon was naturally unwilling to be suppressed. Therefore, it ignited the core of the flame and connected with the star to summon some of the earth core fire. The strength of this flame was much stronger than the fiery demon's own flame and the flame that Night Sorrow controlled. After summoning it, the fiery demon immediately controlled the flame and burned it towards Night Sorrow. It wanted to destroy him in one blow. Frost Power. Facing the earth core fire's attack, Night Sorrow immediately used the frost power that he had obtained from the Ice Saint King. However, the moment the frost power was released, it was melted by the scorching flame. Seeing that the situation was not good, Night Sorrow immediately ignited his Phoenix bloodline, Scale bloodline and Leaken bloodline. He raised his aura to the strongest. Then, he transmitted his voice to Little Fool, get ready to attack. The fiery demon summoned the earth core fire. With my own strength, it shouldn't be easy to kill it. Okay. Do you want to use a normal attack or a lightning attack? Little Fool immediately asked. Things like sacred spirits are most afraid of lightning tribulations. Just use lightning tribulations. However, you only need to use half of it. After Night Sorrow transmitted his voice, he used the attack and defense techniques to strengthen himself. Then, he attacked the earth core fire again. This time, he used the divine essence trapping array, wanting to use it to stop the spread of the earth core fire. However, the earth core fire in front of him should be at the level of half step to Supreme Realm. The divine essence trap array was instantly destroyed. Haha. Stop struggling. You will definitely die today. Seeing that Night Sorrow was unable to do anything to the earth core fire, the fiery demon immediately laughed arrogantly. Then, it used an ultimate skill to push the earth core fire towards Night Sorrow. The scorching flames covered the sky and the earth, and the heat was very frightening. Even though Night Sorrow's body was very strong, Night Sorrow still had a hard time dealing with it. Under such circumstances, he recalled what he had said in his life and immediately thought of a move. Facing the flames in the sky, he unleashed the azure sea tide. After the azure sea tide was used, a 10,000 zhang high tide immediately appeared in the void and fiercely slammed towards the earth flame. Moreover, these waves were mixed with the power of ice. Although they weren't able to extinguish the earth core fire directly due to their grade, they were still able to defend against it. At this time, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Little Fool, "The time is almost here. Wait for the flame devil to charge up its next attack, then strike with the lightning tribulation. He won't be able to react in time." After sending a voice transmission to Little Fool, he said to the giant celestial crocodile, "In a while, Little Fool will use the lightning tribulation to severely injure the fire devil. After that, I will let you out. You should know what to do." "Don't worry, my lord. I will seize the opportunity." When the giant celestial crocodile heard the voice transmission, it promised confidently. Actually, it was clear that the mission that Night Sorrow gave should be to beat the dog while it was down. The difficulty shouldn't be great. Very good. Night Sorrow responded and continued to resist the fire devil and the earth flame. Although the azure sea tide restrained the earth flame in terms of attributes, it was helpless that its grade was not good. He needed to use it continuously. It consumed large amounts of divine essence energy. Seeing Night Sorrow continuously unleashing the azure sea tide, the divine essence energy consumption was astonishing. The fire devil was immediately delighted. At this time, it, who did not feel any pressure, suddenly started to charge up its strongest ultimate skill. Shadow of the Fire Devil. After charging up for roughly 10 breaths, it finally unleashed this move. Little Fool, attack. The Fire Devil's attack was charged up for so long, Night Sorrow could naturally determine it. After the Fire Devil attacked, he immediately transmitted his voice to Little Fool. "All right." At the same time, Little Fool controlled the Eternal Divine Tower and suddenly blasted out the lightning tribulation that Greenbeard attracted at the Fire Devil's enormous body. "Not good, what is this?" Only after the lightning tribulation got close to the Fire Devil, who executed the ultimate skill, react. After discovering that it was the lightning tribulation, it immediately resisted in a fluster. But a half-step extreme realm lightning tribulation was absolutely not easy to deal with to it. Although there was no danger of being blasted to death, it was very hard to finish it off. Seeing the fire devil being held back by the lightning tribulation, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to the giant starry sky crocodile, "Attack. Victory or defeat depends on you." "Yes, Your Excellency." The giant starry sky crocodile could see the fire devil's situation in space. Toward same-rank opponents without any resistance ability, he was still very confident in dealing with them. After being summoned out by Night Sorrow, the giant starry sky crocodile's body immediately enlarged. After expanding to a certain extent, it swallowed the fire devil in one gulp. Being swallowed by the giant starry sky crocodile, the fire devil immediately released all kinds of flames in its body. For a moment, the giant starry sky crocodile roared very manically in the sea of fire. At this time, Night Sorrow, who was resisting the giant starry sky crocodile's ultimate skill, transmitted his voice to Little Fool, "Good opportunity, recall the giant starry sky crocodile." "I understand." When Little Fool heard the voice transmission, he immediately made the giant starry sky crocodile give up resisting and recall him and the fire devil. After that, he separated them again. After the fire devil was recalled into the Eternal Divine Tower, although it understood that its advantage was lost, it still spat out flames crazily to carry out attacks. It was just that, entering a world controlled by others, what effect could its attacks have? It was simply a futile struggle. After Little Fool finished explaining the situation to Night Sorrow transmitted his voice, "Recall the fire devil well first. Later, wait for me to completely destroy the fiend flame death curse, then we'll discuss how to deal with it." This fire devil was a sacred spirit born and bred in the Sea of Sunday. Furthermore, its strength was not bad and could even utilize the power of the earth core fire. Night Sorrow had the intention of subduing it. However, for now, he still sat quietly in the flames with peace of mind, waiting for the arrival of 3 days and 3 nights. Just as the remaining 30 breaths of the 3 days and 3 nights were about to arrive, the fiend flame death curse suddenly erupted completely in Night Sorrow's body, seemingly wanting to corrode all of his blood. However, Night Sorrow, who had long been prepared, naturally would not let it succeed. Controlling the power of virtue, he purified all of the fiend flame death curse that had appeared. After a few breaths of time, he felt that the fiend flame death curse in his body had completely quieted down. Night Sorrow smiled and said, "Finally, it's been resolved." Just as he finished speaking, the energy that had been suppressed in his body began to wreak havoc crazily. "Are you going to advance to rank 2? Seeing the changes in Night Sorrow's body, the giant starry sky crocodile immediately asked doubtfully. After Night Sorrow had dispelled the fiend flame death curse, he had immediately removed the title of Lord. Hearing this, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "Yes. I'm about to advance. However, we have to change places. It's too difficult to undergo the tribulation here." Chapter 34:19. After that, Night Sorrow brought the eternal divine tower and the giant crocodile out of the star and into the void above the ordinary area. They were waiting for Night Sorrow to come and pick them up. At this moment, Jing Hai, Bai Wuji, and Murong Xiu were certain that if Night Sorrow chose to leave after passing the lightning tribulation, they would attack and capture Night Sorrow and the giant crocodile. They would lead them to open the treasure. It's coming. The lightning tribulation is coming. Night Sorrow, who had sensed the 3 people behind him, distanced himself from them. In the void, he waited quietly for the arrival of the lightning tribulation. At this moment, his strength had increased tremendously as he had accumulated a lot of strength. He had just advanced to stage 2 of the half-step to Supreme Realm and had yet to receive the lightning tribulation. However, he felt as if he had truly advanced to stage 2. His strength had increased qualitatively. Moreover, due to the tempering in the solar flame, his control over the fire element had increased significantly. Although it was not as strong as the earth core fire, it was not far off. Just as Jing Hai and the other 2 were watching, Night Sorrow welcomed his lightning tribulation. Unlike ordinary tribulation transcendence, Night Sorrow's tribulation transcendence was directly beneath the tribulation clouds. While resisting the tribulation lightning, it was also tempering the strength of his body. His half-step to Supreme Realm lightning tribulation did not exist in the form of a lightning tribulation energy body. He was truly welcoming the baptism of the terrifying lightning tribulation. Amidst the terrifying lightning tribulation, Night Sorrow took the opportunity to activate the sea serpent's eye and looked in the direction of Jing Hai and the others. When he saw that it was Jing Hai and the other 2 cultivators, he immediately knew that they were coming for him. As he was undergoing the lightning tribulation, he secretly set up the 5 bulls formation in the void. As Jing Hai and the other 2 did not have eye techniques and were too far away, they could not see Night Sorrow's formation clearly. At this moment, the giant crocodile asked in the void, "Are you going to fight the 3 people behind you?" According to him, his cooperation with Night Sorrow had ended and he did not want to help. "Don't worry. This is my own matter and I will not drag you into it." Night Sorrow knew what the giant crocodile meant and continued to undergo the lightning tribulation. Finally, he successfully passed the lightning tribulation. After the lightning tribulation, he immediately received the heavenly energy. After absorbing the energy, Night Sorrow immediately felt comfortable. At this time, he used the clam dragon's eye to look in the direction of Jing Hai and the others and said, "It's been hard enough to follow them all the way. Come out for some air. You're quite alert. But we're also." After being discovered, Bai Wuji was the first to step forward. After saying that, he turned to the other 2 and said, "I'll take him down in a moment. You two, take the crocodile. You." Hearing this, Jing Hai nodded indifferently. Said, "Night Sorrow. Up. Up S2. You, up to himself too." The crushing defeat last time dealt a huge blow to his self-confidence. Now that he had met his enemy, he was naturally displeased. Haha. Actually, if you guys had attacked earlier, you might have had a chance to win. But now, you can only be tortured. Night Sorrow looked at Night Sorrow and the others and laughed disdainfully. Now that he had advanced to the second stage of the half-step supreme realm, his strength had increased by a lot. You're not strong, but you talk big. See how I'll torture you. Without waiting for Night Sorrow to speak again, Bai Wuji flew into the air and flew towards Night Sorrow. I'll defeat you in 10 breaths. Night Sorrow sneered when he saw Bai Wuji, who was a fourth stage half-step supreme realm, flying towards him. Bai Wuji did not notice the 5 bulls formation. He was courting death by flying over. Bai Wuji laughed sinisterly. I'll say the same to you. I'll defeat you in 10 breaths. Murong Xiu reminded him, Senior brother Bai, be careful not to kill him. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Bai Wuji, who was completely enraged, said confidently. He took out a long hook and slashed at Night Sorrow. He wanted to use a melee attack to take down Night Sorrow instantly. Seeing Bai Wuji's performance, Little Fool was speechless. This Bai Wuji is really sending himself to death. Charging into the 5 bulls formation to fight, even if the 3 of them come in at the same time, you can finish the battle quickly. That's right. Night Sorrow replied to Little Fool. Just as Bai Wuji entered the 5 bulls formation, he activated the formation. After the formation was activated, it immediately launched a terrifying soul attack on Bai Wuji. Bai Wuji, who wanted to use his long hook to attack Night Sorrow, was immediately frightened by such a powerful soul attack. He cursed in his heart. At the same time, he roared, despicable and shameless. You actually set up a formation while transcending the tribulation. Do you think you can defeat me like this? Impossible. Then, he took out a green bead from his space. After being taken out, the bead bloomed with a green light. Everywhere the light passed, everything became peaceful. It no longer had any attack power. What kind of secret treasure is this? Seeing Bai Wuji's artifact, Yi Shang asked doubtfully. Little Fool and Giant Alligator did not know, so they did not answer. At this time, Night Sorrow directly activated all his skills and ignited his bloodline. Before Bai Wuji had fully recovered, he shot out the Ice-Fire Mother-Child Spear at him. And together with the Divine Essence Trapping Array and Virtuous Trapping Array, as well as the Defense Seal, Bai Wuji was tightly bound to the ground. Wang. After Night Sorrow's strength had increased, the strength of his attacks had also become different. The Ice-Fire Mother-Child Spear that Bai Wuji had looked down on previously was extremely powerful. The power of the attack was so great that it pierced through Bai Wuji's chest. And that powerful ice and fire attribute caused half of his body to be frozen, while the other half burned. It looked very miserable. Then, Night Sorrow did not give Bai Wuji a chance to react. He pierced his dantian and directly crippled him. He did not give him a chance to turn the situation around. What? Senior brother Bai was actually killed by him so quickly? How did this night demon's strength increase so much? Murong Xiu was dumbfounded when she saw how easily Night Sorrow had dealt with Bai Wuji. Although she did not like Bai Wuji's arrogance, the teeth were interdependent. Now, Bai Wuji had been crippled so easily. She suddenly felt a faint pain in her dantian. Senior sister Murong, don't panic. Although his strength has increased, he still can't cause any trouble. Jing Hai said calmly. Then, he summoned the 10 new warriors from the space. This time, the 10 battle generals were all at the 3rd stage of the Supreme Realm. Seeing Jing Hai summon the 10 battle generals, Night Sorrow's giant alligator suddenly said, I want to leave. Is it convenient? Chapter 34:20. Although Jing Hai had summoned 10 generals, all of them were at half-step to Supreme Realm. Including him and Murong Xiu, there were a total of 12. This scared the giant crocodile to death, and it immediately wanted to escape. Hearing this, Yi Shang put Bai Wuji into the space, then let him out and said, You can go now. Thank you for helping me remove the demonic flame death curse. He did not go against their agreement. The giant celestial alligator was momentarily stunned to see Shan release it so readily. It was slightly surprised. After thinking for a while, he took out a pearl and handed it to Night Sorrow. "My lord, I admire your courage. This is the tear of the giant crocodile king. It can create illusions. If you can't defeat them, you can use it to trap them temporarily." "Okay. Thank you." Night Sorrow took the giant crocodile king's tear and thanked it. "Leave from behind me. When we start fighting, you can go around them and leave the Sea of Sun." "Goodbye, my lord." The giant crocodile said respectfully and left Night Sorrow's side. It did not want to get into trouble. The situation suddenly changed. Night Sorrow was facing 12 half-step to Supreme Realm experts alone. Among these 12 people, 1 was at half-step to Supreme Realm, and 11 were at half-step to Supreme Realm. Every one of them had a higher cultivation than Night Sorrow. Ha ha ha. This crocodile knows what's good for him. Seeing that the giant crocodile had chosen to leave, Jing Hai laughed arrogantly. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Are you going to surrender yourself, or are you waiting for us to make a move? What courage do you have for a loser?" Facing 13 experts, Yi Shang's expression didn't change at all. There was no sense of panic in him. This made Jing Hai a little angry. In his opinion, not only did he have to defeat Night Sorrow, but he also had to defeat him. He had to destroy his confidence to vent his anger. Glaring at Yi Shang, Jing Hai exhaled and ordered, "Go, capture him alive." "Yes." When Jing Hai gave the order, the 10 generals under his command immediately moved and surrounded Night Sorrow. At that moment, Jing Hai looked at Murong Xiao and said politely, "Senior Sister Murong, shall we join in as well?" "Good. This night demon is not easy to deal with. We really can't be careless." Originally, Murong Xiao also looked down on Night Sorrow. But after Bai Wuji was taken down, her view completely changed. Then, she and Jing Hai took out their divine artifacts and attacked Night Sorrow. Faced with so many opponents, Little Fool, who was controlling the Tower of Eternity, asked with uncertainty, "Night Sorrow, can we really defeat so many people?" "I'm not sure, but it should be close." Night Sorrow replied and raised his status to its peak. After leaving the 5 Bulls array, in the battle just now, the 5 Bulls array had nearly been destroyed by Bai Wuji's artifact, so there was no point in remaining inside. Facing the 10 generals who were almost side by side, they rushed over. Night Sorrow held the golden heavenly halberd and the desolation war halberd in his hands and suddenly attacked them with the fiery demon subduing spear. Scorching flames filled the sky. These flames had just been strengthened, and their grade was basically at the 4th stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. After it was used, it immediately posed a threat to many of the 3rd stage half-step Supreme Realm warriors. At that moment, Murong Xiao suddenly sped up and flew to the front of the team, saying, "I'll stop these flames. Don't worry and attack." After saying that, he unleashed an ultimate technique into the void. Heavenly River Descent. A long river was drawn out from the void and rushed toward the flames that Night Sorrow had shot out. Under her attack, Night Sorrow's fiery demon subduing spear was instantly broken. This female cultivator is not simple. Her strength is stronger than the male cultivator we captured. As soon as Murong Xiao attacked, Night Sorrow determined that she was stronger than Bai Wuji and immediately paid attention to her. At that moment, Jing Hai led the 10 generals and continued to close the distance between them and Night Sorrow. Their idea was to surround Night Sorrow to prevent him from escaping. Night Sorrow naturally had a response to this. Under their attack, he kept retreating. At the same time, he had been preparing to attack one of the opponents. After he sped up, the people on Jing Hai's side gradually widened the distance between them and were no longer so uniform. As for Murong Xiao, who had just used an ultimate skill, she was the furthest away. At that moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice, "Xiao Wu, interrogate the male cultivator we captured. Xiao Air, prepare to strike out the remaining lightning tribulations. In front of us are all 3rd stage half-step Supreme Realm cultivators. The fourth stage lightning tribulations should be very useful. Okay. I've already prepared. And I've even prepared a fourth stage attack. This attack is absorbed from the fiery demon. It's a terrifying flame attack. After Xiao Wu answered and began to interrogate Bai Wuji, Xiao Er said excitedly. In a short period of time, the Eternal Divine Tower had already absorbed the first attack from the fiery demon. The speed was very fast. However, they had not completely tamed the fiery demon and made it fight for Night Sorrow. Very good. A lightning tribulations and a flame attack is enough to completely disrupt their formation. Night Sorrow glanced at the people behind him who were chasing and attacking him at the same time. After making a judgment, he turned around again and roared out a soul-devouring dragon roar. He used a wide-range soul attack to attack Jing Hai and the others behind him. Humph. You overestimate yourself. Seeing that Night Sorrow had stopped and was about to launch a soul attack, Jing Hai immediately took out a green lotus robe and released it in the air. It blocked all of Night Sorrow's attacks. Jing Hai then said, "Don't be afraid. I've already destroyed his soul attack." Jing Hai, it seems like you've obtained a new treasure. Seeing that Jing Hai had taken out a green lotus robe, Night Sorrow said and ordered, "Xiao Er, attack." While Xiao Er released the lightning tribulations and flame attacks, he held the golden heavenly halberd and desolation battle halberd and prepared the frostfire mother-child spear. Okay. Little Fool replied. Then, he attacked Jing Hai and the 10 generals with lightning tribulation attacks and fire tribulation attacks. The grades of these two attacks were both at half-step supreme stage level 4. Furthermore, they were both large-scale attacks. They were very difficult to dodge. In an instant, the 10 war generals under Jing Hai's command all hid in a panic. Compared to the 10 war generals, Jing Hai's situation was obviously better. After all, he had the green lotus robe to protect him. When the 10 war generals were forced to scatter, Night Sorrow immediately used the frostfire mother-child spear that he had prepared. It was aimed at one of the war generals. This war general was currently dodging the flame and lightning tribulations and did not notice Night Sorrow at all. He was instantly killed by this move. After that, Night Sorrow immediately attacked another war general with the golden heavenly halberd and desolation battle halberd. Chapter 34-21. Night Devil, how dare you! Seeing that Night Sorrow was still able to instantly kill one of his warlords despite being besieged from all sides, Hai Qing Hai was shocked. He then attacked the other warlord. Jing Hai was instantly enraged. With a roar, he took out a short sword that he had just obtained from Nangong He and slashed at Yi Shan with an ultimate technique. This short sword was at the 4th grade of the half-step paramount realm, and after he used it, he was shocked. When it was unleashed, it streaked across the sky like a rainbow. Divine Origin Trapping Array. Night Sorrow, who was preparing to kill the other warlord, used the Divine Origin Trapping Array to counter Hai Qing Hai's ultimate technique. This move was only able to block Hai Qing Hai's ultimate technique for less than a second. However, this was enough for Night Sorrow. In that instant, he directly killed the warlord in front of him. After advancing to the 2nd stage of the half-step supreme realm, his full-powered attack was already an attack that an ordinary 3rd stage half-step supreme realm expert could not withstand. I'll deal with him. You guys support me. Don't fight him head-on. Murong Xiu, who had already caught up, saw Night Sorrow easily kill 2 of the warlords. Furthermore, he had used the lightning tribulation and flames to kill 2 of them. She judged that apart from herself and Hai Qing, who was wearing the green lotus robe, no one else could block Night Sorrow's attack. Therefore, before Night Sorrow could continue to attack, she flew in front of him and started fighting. With Murong Xiu and Hai Qing's help, it was no longer easy for Night Sorrow to attack the remaining 6 warlords. However, after fighting with them, Night Sorrow found that it was much easier for him to face Hai Qing. If it weren't for the green lotus robe that Nan Gongha had given him, he might have died in just a few moves. As Murong Xiu fought with Night Sorrow, she became more and more alarmed. As the battle progressed, she suddenly realized that after Night Sorrow fully activated his state, apart from her, everyone else's attacks were basically no threat to Night Sorrow. Either their attacks were not powerful enough to break through his defense, or their attacks were not fast enough to be easily dodged. Even Hai Qing's attacks could only play a role in restraining Night Sorrow. He could not pose much of a threat to him. This made Murong Xiu feel a little disappointed. She realized that she had underestimated Night Sorrow. At this moment, his combat power was close to the 5th stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. After thinking for a moment, Murong Xiu sent a voice transmission to Hai Qing. Do you have any other secret treasures? This night demon is truly difficult to deal with. His strength is even above yours and mine. If he goes all out, he is extremely difficult to deal with. We have to think of a way. I still have a boundless heaven-shaking bell with me. Wait for me to find an opportunity to use it to attack his soul. Then, we will swarm him and take him down. Before the battle, he had never imagined that Yi Shang's strength would rise so quickly. Hai Qing's left him far behind. While he was annoyed, he also had killing. However, the purpose of their trip was to obtain the treasure mentioned by Nangong He. Naturally, they could not kill him. All right. I also have a secret treasure here. After 10 breaths, we'll use it together. Murong Xiu sent a telepathic message to Yi Shang. Then, she used another technique. Compared to the other war generals, her attack was still a threat to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, who was fighting with the others, had also realized this. During the battle, he also began to pay attention to Murong Xiu and Hai Qing. Relatively speaking, he had the Lican bloodline, so his divine core power recovered very quickly. He was not afraid of consumption. Although the remaining 6 war generals were all at the 3rd stage of the half-step Supreme Realm, their attacks were not much of a threat to him. He just needed to use all his strength to dodge and consume some divine core power. This kind of consumption could be automatically recovered by the Lican bloodline. The ultimate threat was still Murong Xiu and Hai Qing. Therefore, he wanted to find an opportunity to kill either Murong Xiu or Hai Qing first. At this moment, Little Five, who was in the Eternal Divine Tower, suddenly sent a voice transmission. Night Sorrow. The fiery demon has surrendered. Oh. The fiery demon has surrendered? Very good. Ask him if he can lend me some earth core fire. Night Sorrow immediately asked when he heard the voice transmission. He knew that the earth core fire was a true 5th stage half-step Supreme Realm. It was a great threat to the many cultivators in front of him. After a breath, Little Five replied, yes, but he can't use much of it here unless you lure everyone into the sun flame. I shouldn't be able to lure all of them in because the 6 war generals don't have the strength to enter. Night Sorrow judged. Then let him lend you some. Little Five said and began to command the fiery demon to lend some of its flames to Night Sorrow. At the same time, he asked, do you need the fiery demon to appear and fight with you? Not at the moment. I alone am enough to deal with them. Night Sorrow replied confidently. During the battle, he had completely recognized his true strength. Facing Murong Xiu and Hai Qing, he did not feel much pressure. They were stronger than he had estimated before he started fighting. Okay. We'll be ready at any time. Little Five said again and did not say anything else. At this time, Night Sorrow had absorbed the earth core fire of the fiery demon into his body. Because the earth core fire was in a controlled state, it did not cause any harm to Night Sorrow. Even Night Sorrow, who had absorbed it, felt a sense of comfort. If there was a chance, he should find a way to absorb some of the earth core fire here. Not only could it increase the level of his flames, but it could also be one of his trump cards. Hai Qing, get ready to attack. Just as Night Sorrow absorbed the earth core fire, Murong Xiu sent a voice transmission to Hai Qing. Okay. Attack immediately. The rest of you cooperate with me and senior sister Murong. Hai Qing replied and took out the boundless heaven-shaking bell to activate it. After the boundless heaven-shaking bell was activated, it immediately released huge ripples in the void. Night Sorrow, who was attacked by these ripples, suddenly felt his divine soul tremble. It was very uncomfortable. At this time, Murong Xiao took out 18 star stones. After activating them, she threw them at Night Sorrow. After these star stones were thrown out, they immediately bloomed into 18 streams of light in the void. Each of the 18 streams of light was an attack from a half-step to the Supreme Realm level 5. When Night Sorrow was attacked by the boundless heaven-shaking bell, it was indeed very threatening. In a situation where he could not avoid the 18 streams of light, Night Sorrow recovered his mind and directly released the Earth Core Fire. Once the Earth Core Fire was released, the 18 streams of light released by Murong Xiao were quickly burned to ashes. As for the impact of Hai Qing's boundless heaven-shaking bell, Night Sorrow forcibly withstood it. It did not cause much damage to his divine soul. The boundless heaven-shaking bell only made him lose his mind for a moment. How is that possible? Could it be that his divine soul has reached the level 5 level? Seeing that the boundless heaven-shaking bell had no effect on Night Sorrow, Hai Qing was immediately surprised. Murong Xiao's expression became even worse. Chapter 34-22. Although Murong Xiao already had a higher opinion of Yi Shang since the battle had begun, she had never imagined that he would be able to break her trump card so easily. An ominous premonition suddenly flashed through her heart. Furthermore, they were extremely fearful of the Earth Core Fire that Yi Shang had summoned. She sent a telepathic message to Jing Hai. If you can't take out your trump card, I'm afraid we will lose today. I don't have anything to take out. Jing Hai replied unhappily. It's all by Wu Ji's fault. If he hadn't acted on his own, we would have taken him down easily. What's the use of saying this now? Murong Xiao said and immediately chose to turn around and flee. She did not hesitate at all. You! Seeing that Murong Xiao had chosen to escape, Jing Hai shouted and stopped. At this time, Night Sorrow, who was controlling the earth flame, had started to attack Jing Hai. Although Jing Hai had the green lotus robe to protect him, he could not ignore the earth flame's attack. While he was dodging, he ordered the remaining warlords to come and help him. However, with Murong Xiao's desertion, these people could no longer pose any threat to her. Soon, they were killed one by Night Sorrow. Jing Hai was the only one left. He knelt in the void and shouted, "Don't kill me. I can tell you a secret." You want to tell me the secret of the treasure? Night Sorrow asked with a cold smile. Little Five had already asked Bai Wuji about this matter. Bai Wuji was very arrogant, but after he was captured, he behaved like Jing Hai. Soon, he revealed the purpose of this trip. Hearing this, Jing Hai's face changed again. He knew that it was useless for him to say this again. He immediately sent a telepathic message. I have a special relationship with Dean Nangong He. If I remember correctly, you called her aunt. Are you her nephew? Night Sorrow asked with a frown. He had no intention of chasing after Murong Xiao. Upon hearing this, Jing Hai continued with an embarrassed expression, we are actually lovers. If you don't kill me, you'll definitely be able to exchange something good from her. In order to survive, he revealed the secret relationship between him and Nangong He. What? Are you sure? Upon hearing this, Night Sorrow felt as if his worldview had been shattered. However, to him who had a grudge against Nangong He, these words were of some value. He immediately put away the thought of killing Jing Hai. Of course, I'm sure. We've already tasted the joy of intimacy. Otherwise, why would she provide me with the 10 great battle generals again and again? And a secret treasure like the Azure Lotus robe? Jing Hai said matter-of-factly. All right. Hand over the green lotus robe, and I can spare your life. Night Sorrow didn't have the habit of getting to the bottom of things, so he spoke with a murderous tone. Good. I'll pay. As long as you don't kill me, I'll do anything. Jing Hai must have thought about this a long time ago, as he handed over the Azure Lotus robe without hesitation. At this moment, he had even given up on the thought of escaping, because he knew how terrifying Night Sorrow's speed was. Let me ask you something. After that, Night Sorrow kept Jing Hai in the Eternal Divine Tower, separating him from Bai Wuji. Then, he asked about the treasure. After asking this question, he realized that Jing Hai and Bai Wuji had said similar things. And he was sure that the two of them weren't lying. He immediately flew toward the location they had mentioned. Before long, he arrived at the entrance of the Sea of the Sun. This entrance looked like a sea of fire, and the temperature was even more terrifying than ordinary sun flames. After opening the sea serpent's eye to observe, Night Sorrow discovered that behind the sea of fire was an ice wall. He roughly understood what Nangong he meant. She felt that only those who could control the power of ice and fire could enter. Nangong he and Jing Hai are lovers, so she shouldn't be lying to him. However, she didn't go in at all, so she shouldn't know what kind of treasure is inside. What she said might not be true. After standing in front of the entrance and pondering for a while, Night Sorrow used the power of ice and the power of merit to envelop himself. He walked toward the sea of fire at the entrance. Just as he approached the sea of fire, he felt an incomparably terrifying heat wave. He felt as if he could melt at any time. And the protective layer of ice on his body was constantly fading in the flames. Even if he kept using the power of ice, it was the same. He could only increase his speed and continue to move forward. However, as he continued to go deeper, Night Sorrow gradually felt that the surrounding flames began to become more intense. Gradually, he felt as if his skin and flesh were being torn apart. Night Sorrow, you have to hold on. There are still a few breaths of time before we reach the ice defense. Seeing that Night Sorrow's condition was getting worse and worse, Little Fool immediately reminded him anxiously. I can still hold on. As Night Sorrow replied, he took out the earth core fire. He let the earth core fire bloom around his body. With the protection of the earth core fire, the surrounding flames immediately retreated by a lot. However, the burning sensation was still there, and it was also very harmful to him. Under these circumstances, Night Sorrow had already been burned to the point where he didn't even have a human shape after persisting until he reached the area between ice and fire. He was forced to rest in the middle area and rely on his Leaken bloodline to recover. After about 2 hours, Night Sorrow had completely recovered. Seeing that Night Sorrow had recovered so quickly, Jing Hai and Bai Wuji felt a sense of despair. Summon the fiery demon. After recovering, Night Sorrow immediately asked Little Fool to summon the fiery demon. After it was summoned, Night Sorrow looked at the fiery demon and said, "This ice wall seems to be tens of thousands of feet thick. Try and see if you can break it." "Yes, Master." The fiery demon that had already chosen to submit received the order and immediately used the power of fire to attack the ice wall. Then, every time it spat out flames, it could only make the ice wall become 20 to 30,000 feet thick. When the attack was over, the ice wall would automatically recover. Seeing this scene, Night Sorrow frowned and said, "It seems like this ice wall needs to be broken in one blow. Try using the earth core fire." "Yes, Master." After Night Sorrow returned the earth core fire to the fiery demon immediately used the earth core fire to attack the ice wall again. This time, under the fiery demon's attack, the ice wall was broken 70,000 feet. The fiery demon said helplessly, "I'm sorry, Master. I can't break the ice wall." "It's okay. Attack again." When Night Sorrow heard this, he did not give up. Instead, he let the fiery demon attack again. Although the fiery demon did not understand the order, it still attacked the ice wall again. At this moment, Night Sorrow also attacked the ice wall with his flames. Together with the fiery demon, they attacked the ice wall at the same time. Chapter 34-23. After Night Sorrow and the fire demon attacked at the same time, the power of their attacks increased several times. It was completely different from when the fire demon attacked on its own. In an instant, the flames from the two of them melted the ice wall completely. It looked like they were destroying dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Let's hurry over before the ice wall recovers again. Unsure if the ice wall would recover in an instant, Night Sorrow immediately flew towards the passage when it melted. The fire demon, who had heard the order, followed closely behind Night Sorrow. Together, they successfully entered the mystic realm where the treasure was. The reality was just as Night Sorrow thought. After they entered, the ice wall outside quickly recovered. Looking back at the recovered ice wall, Night Sorrow calmed down and opened the sea serpent's eye to observe the mystic realm in front of him. There were a total of 9 suns in the mystic realm in front of him. These 9 suns were of different sizes, but they all emitted a scorching light. The roasting they brought at the same time made the ground burn faintly with flames. The roots of these flames were greenish-purple, and the location of the flames was blood-red. The color of the flames not only surprised Night Sorrow, but also the fire demon. Even the Balrog said doubtfully, "These flames before us do seem a little strange. It's as if there's blood flowing in the flames. Otherwise, the color wouldn't be like this. I can also sense some abnormalities." As Night Sorrow replied, he continued to observe the other sceneries in the mystic realm. In front of them was a suspended staircase that was 1,000 feet wide. The 2 ends of the staircase burned with strange flames. There were many blood-red trees and flowers growing in the flames. Their color was basically the same as the color of the flames. These plants were suspended in the void and grew by absorbing the aura of the flames. Night Sorrow discovered that these flowers, plants, and trees all contained killing intent, giving off an extremely dangerous feeling. And this suspended staircase stretched as far as the eye could see. Even with the sea serpent's eye, Night Sorrow could not see the end of it. At this moment, he sent a voice transmission to Jing Hai and Bai Wuji. "Since Nan Gongha asked you to come and fight for the treasure, she must have told you something, right? What to do after entering the mystic realm? Tell me how to find the treasure." "Vice Principal Nangong only told me how to enter the secret realm. She didn't tell me how to find the treasure." Bai Wuji replied helplessly. At that time, Nan Gongha had only given him a general idea, and did not mention the specific details at all. Hearing Bai Wuji say this, Night Sorrow knew that Nangong he must have told Clear Sea some details. Because she was so certain that there was an artifact here, she must have a certain understanding of it. As expected. After a while, Jing Hai organized his thoughts and said, "I heard from my aunt that the information about the treasures in this mystic realm was given to her by Wuji Zun. It looked like a flame core. If he could find it, not only would he be able to use it to raise his cultivation, he would also be able to obtain extremely powerful flame energy. It's just that back then, she and Andrew didn't succeed in obtaining it." "Did she mention the exact location?" Night Sorrow was very interested in the details that Jing Hai mentioned, so he continued asking. "According to her, we've been following the stairs in the air. Once he reached the end, he would see the supreme treasure. Back then, Wuji Zun encountered this supreme treasure, but he didn't take it away." Jing Hai told him everything he knew. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would get angry and kill him. Seeing Jing Hai like this, Night Sorrow knew that although Jing Hai had the talent of the supreme realm, he did not have the mentality of a supreme realm. Even if he was not defeated by him, he would not be able to successfully advance in the future. After that, he did not continue to deal with him. He sent a voice transmission to Flame Demon and Little Fool, "You guys stay on guard with me. I'm going to step onto the suspended stairs. If I'm not wrong, these blood-red plants and flames might attack us. These shouldn't be much of a threat. I wonder what will happen if we continue to walk in." Flame Demon glanced at the plants in front of him and said disdainfully. After all, it was a holy spirit born from the sun flame, and it was at the 4th grade of the half-step supreme realm. As for the surrounding plants, they were basically creatures that had not reached the half-step supreme realm. At this time, Night Sorrow continued, "Don't be careless. Let's go." "Wait." Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to step onto the suspended stairs, Little Fool immediately said, "Can you give me the secret treasure you got from Bai Wuji? If I absorb it, I can attack with the power of a 5th grade half-step supreme realm." "Okay. Then you can take it. As for the green lotus robe I got from Jinghai, I still have some use for it, so I won't give it to you. Night Sorrow sent all the secret treasures he got from Bai Wuji into the Eternal Divine Tower. He then used the green phoenix armor to devour the green lotus robe. Just like that, the green phoenix armor's level was raised to the peak of the 4th grade half-step supreme realm. It was only 1 step away from the 5th grade. Night Sorrow naturally felt a little regretful that he did not upgrade the green phoenix armor after consuming a pure 5th grade green lotus robe, but he did not care. Then, he led Flame Demon and the Eternal Divine Tower up the suspended stairs. Just as they stepped onto the suspended stairs, the blood-red plants on both sides started to grow crazily. When the grass grew to about the same height as Night Sorrow and the trees almost broke through the sky, they suddenly attacked Night Sorrow. The attacks of these plants all carried flames. However, the grade was not high enough. Night Sorrow controlled the golden heavenly halberd with his left hand and the desolation war halberd with his right. 2 beams of light suddenly shot out and destroyed all of them. Then, they continued to walk forward along the suspended stairs. Almost every time they walked 100,000 feet, the plants they encountered would increase by a grade. As Night Sorrow continued to move forward, soon, he began to encounter the attacks of half-step supreme realm plants. Moreover, the plants on both sides of the suspended stairs began to become denser and denser, causing the attacks to become more concentrated. The attacks did not only contain flames. There were also some sharp leaves and hard fruits. These things looked very ordinary, but they were very difficult to deal with. Night Sorrow was slightly better. The flame demon in human form was completely flustered and no longer had the arrogance from before. At this moment, Little Fool asked, "I've already prepared a half-step Supreme Realm 5th grade attack. Do you want to use it?" "Of course not. Your attack will be saved for the critical moment." While Night Sorrow was fighting against the plants in front of him, he had been walking along the suspended stairs. After rejecting Little Fool's suggestion, he activated the Treastrimsa Star Ruin secret combat technique and destruction divine ability. He continuously attacked the plants on both sides. At this point, he had already begun to use his ultimate skills. And the road ahead still had no end in sight. Chapter 34-24. Night Sorrow. Isn't this path a little too difficult to walk? Little Fool said speechlessly as they continued forward. Because at this moment, the surrounding vegetation's strength had already risen to half-step to 3rd grade Supreme Realm. With so many vegetation at this level attacking at the same time, the intensity of the flames was quite shocking. Although Night Sorrow could still bear it, the pressure was increasing. The fire demon's frantic situation was even more obvious. From time to time, it would be hit by the vegetation, looking a little pathetic. Looks like I have to increase my strength again. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow did not ignite his bloodline power. However, he began to use the power of ice and fire on his body. The effect of the power of fire was relatively ordinary, but the power of ice was obviously very effective against the vegetation in front of them. Many of the vegetation that attacked with their branches and leaves were frozen on the spot in an instant. There were even some roots that were floating in the air that were directly frozen. Night Sorrow said in surprise, "It seems that the power of ice can erupt with power that surpasses the past here." According to his judgment, although the power of ice would be effective, it should not be as strong as it was now. Too strong. Looks like the half-step to 3rd grade Supreme Realm vegetation is no longer a threat to us. The fire demon said casually after Night Sorrow suppressed most of the 3rd grade half-step to 3rd grade Supreme Realm vegetation. In the battle just now, it had already suffered a lot of injuries, but now it was relaxed. We can't be careless. After all, we can't see the end of it. Night Sorrow looked up at the 9 suns in the sky and continued forward with the fire demon. At this moment, Little Fool, who was controlling the Eternal Divine Tower, transmitted again. "I've prepared a few more attacks from 4th grade half-step to 4th grade Supreme Realm. If you need them, let me know." "Okay. Maybe we'll need them soon." Night Sorrow said after observing the surroundings. Then, he and the fire demon faced the attacks of 4th grade half-step to 4th grade supreme realm vegetation. Relatively speaking, the number of such vegetation was much less than 3rd grade half-step to 3rd grade supreme realm. There were about a few dozen on both sides. However, their attack power and the intensity of their flames had obviously increased, making it more difficult to deal with them. Facing the attacks of dozens of 4th grade half-step to 4th grade supreme realm vegetation. Not to mention the Balrog, even Night Sorrow would find it hard to endure. Although these plants were much weaker than cultivators of the same level, they were still very difficult to deal with when grouped together. He glanced at the flight of stairs in front of him, but there was still no end. At this moment, Night Sorrow began to mutter in his heart. He felt that it was not a good idea to keep walking and being attacked like this. However, he still burned his Phoenix bloodline and Jia scale bloodline to raise his strength to another level. It temporarily blocked some of the vegetation in front of him. While he was resisting, he began to wonder if his thoughts were being restricted. Should I attack the power source of these plants, the 9 suns in the void? Night Sorrow told Little Fool and the Flame Devil about this idea. The Balrog immediately agreed. I feel that my lord's thoughts are very reasonable. As long as the energy source of these plants is cut off, they will not be able to do anything. Regardless of whether this is the case or not, we have to try our best. We can still fight against the 4th grade plants in front of us, but if we take a few more steps and they are all 5th grade half-step to the Supreme Realm, it will be difficult for us to deal with them. As he spoke, Night Sorrow, who was fighting against the 4th grade half-step to the Supreme Realm vegetation, suddenly soared into the sky with the Flame Devil. He shot the Icefire Mother-Child spear at one of the suns in the void. Whoosh! Just as Night Sorrow shot the Icefire Mother-Child spear, the 9 suns launched a flame attack at Night Sorrow at the same time. Night Sorrow focused his gaze and realized that there were flame devils in all 9 suns. Furthermore, there were 9 5th grade half-step to the Supreme Realm flame devils. The Icefire Mother-Child spear he shot out was also devoured by these flames very quickly. 9 5th grade half-step to the Supreme Realm flame devils. How are we going to deal with them? Seeing that there were 9 such existences in the void, the flame devil that rose into the void with Night Sorrow was dumbfounded. As for the vegetation below them, it was constantly growing and attacking them. At that moment, Night Sorrow shouted, Flame Devil, try your best to deal with the vegetation below. I will deal with the 9 flame devils in the void. This. All right. Although the Flame Devil wanted to say that the vegetation below was not easy to deal with, he immediately became obedient when he saw the 9 suns in the void. At that moment, Jinghai, who was in the grotto heaven, suddenly sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Lord Night Devil, your situation is not too optimistic. Why don't you let me out to fight? Now that I have more or less recovered, I can definitely provide more power than the Flame Devil. All right. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow did not hesitate and directly let Jinghai out. He did not make him make any oath. This was because Jinghai was no longer a threat to him. Thank you, Lord Night Devil. It was Jinghai's fault for offending you in the past. Jinghai, who had been released, knew that he was no match for Night Sorrow, so he did not dare to have any other thoughts. After saying that, he peacefully dealt with the rising vegetation together with the Flame Devil. As for Night Sorrow, he brought the Eternal Divine Tower and faced the 9 flame devils alone. And these 9 flame devils seemed to be unable to leave the sun they were in. Therefore, he could only attack them from afar. After realizing this, Night Sorrow immediately burned his Leaken bloodline and used the attack and defense techniques to enhance himself. He raised his state to the strongest and flew toward one of the flame devils. He was prepared to use close combat to kill the flame devil in front of him instantly. As for the other 8 flame devils, it was obvious that they were unable to leave the surface of the sun, just as Night Sorrow had thought. He watched as Night Sorrow attacked one of the flame demons and gained the upper hand. However, he could do nothing but worry. There was nothing he could do to help. He could only use fire attacks from afar. Under such circumstances, the flame devil, which was obviously weaker than Night Sorrow, was quickly killed. After Night Sorrow killed this flame devil, a portion of the vegetation that Jinghai and the flame devil were fighting withered and fell into the bottomless abyss. The amount was about 1/9 of it. In an instant, Night Sorrow understood that as long as he killed the remaining 8 flame devils, they should be able to completely solve the problem of the vegetation. He immediately flew toward the next sun. However, as Night Sorrow was flying, the flame devils launched fierce fire attacks one after another. Although these flames were not as terrifying as the Earth Core flame, they were still very strong. However, the Green Phoenix battle armor had just advanced to peak 4th grade half-step Supreme Realm. After activating it, it helped Night Sorrow block a large portion of the flames. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow completely released his divine domain and power of virtue, instantly blocking the flames. He successfully flew to the next sun. Chapter 34-25. Amazing. Seeing that Night Sorrow had dealt with a 5th grade half-step Supreme Realm fire demon, he flew up to another sun. The fire demon below, who was fighting the vegetation with Jinghai, immediately shouted. Jinghai's expression was a little awkward. This was because he realized that the distance between him and Yishan was widening. It was no longer realistic for him to catch up to Night Sorrow. This feeling made him feel a little hopeless. At this moment, Night Sorrow had killed another fire demon as expected. After Shao Chen killed this flame demon, some of the vegetation in the area was completely destroyed. The pressure on the fire demon and Jinghai lessened even more. In addition, many of the vegetation had already given up on attacking the two of them and chose to grow crazily, attacking Night Sorrow. However, the two of them were too far apart. Although they had grown to such a height, they could not explode with terrifying attack strength. The impact on Night Sorrow was minimal. Under such circumstances, Jinghai and the fire demon understood that they had basically flattened this mystic realm. The 9 fire demons looked terrifying, but they could not leave the sun they were in. The restriction on them was too great, and it was fatal. The two of you, prepare to enter my space. They can't do anything to me, but they might attack you. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who had dealt with another fire demon, had already launched an attack on the next sun. He reminded the fire demon and Jinghai. Yes, sir. The fire demon, who had been fighting the vegetation with all his might, immediately waited for Night Sorrow's summons. Jinghai thought of many possibilities, but in the end, he did not resist. In a situation where the vegetation had no effect on Night Sorrow, he finally chose to enter the space. Just as Night Sorrow kept them in his space grotto heaven, the sun in the sky happened to shoot down several 5th grade half-step Supreme Realm flames. The fire demon was still fine. Jinghai could not withstand flames of this level at all, and he immediately felt a lingering fear. He sent a voice transmission, "Thank you, Lord Night Demon." Although he felt humiliated, he felt that it was fine as long as he survived. "You're welcome. If I get an opportunity this time, I have to thank you. If you help me with something in the future, I will let you go completely. The enmity between us can be written off." Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to Clear Sea as he continued to fight the flame fiend. "Let me think about it." There was no need for Night Sorrow to say anything. Jinghai could already guess. Night Sorrow wanted to make a move on Nangonghe. His heart was struggling. This is really an interrogation of your humanity. Night Sorrow observed Jinghai's struggling expression and thought to himself. At the same time, he once again unleashed a lethal attack on the Balrog before him. He had successfully killed it. After killing several flame devils in a row, Night Sorrow completely realized that the problem of their safety had been successfully resolved. Then, without hesitation, he killed all the fire demons on the other suns as well. After all the flame fiends had been killed, the vegetation on both sides of the floating stairs had all fallen to the bottom of the valley. The 9 suns merged into one. After the 9 suns merged into one, the end of the suspended stairs immediately appeared. "It's finally here." Recalling Jing Hai's words, Night Sorrow flew down from the merged suns. He followed the suspended stairs all the way to the end. Then, he walked up to a stone pillar suspended in the air. This stone pillar was covered with all kinds of stone carvings, and it seemed to emit an ancient aura. A box was placed on top of an altar right above the stone pillar. The box was empty, and there was a round hole in its center. When Night Sorrow reached out and picked up the box, the sun that had just merged into one rapidly shrank and flew into the box. Is this the flame core? With the box in hand, Night Sorrow felt that this trip had been quite successful. After sensing it carefully, he stored the flame core into the space. This world had completely darkened. The suspended stairs also began to break apart one by one, continuously breaking apart and smashing into the abyss below. Not good, this world is completely ruined. We have to leave quickly. Realizing that something was wrong, Night Sorrow immediately flew to the passageway. He summoned the Flame Fiend and said, "Flame Fiend, let's work together again and open the passageway." "Yes, my lord." The Flame Fiend responded and attacked together with Night Sorrow. However, the attack that had allowed them to successfully enter this world had now lost its effect. Not even half of the ice wall had melted. How could this be? Seeing that he and Night Sorrow had not opened the ice wall even after working together, the Flame Fiend was astonished. At this moment, Night Sorrow said, "Let's try again." However, after trying again, he and the Flame Fiend still did not open the ice wall. At this moment, Jing Hai, who was somewhat envious of Night Sorrow's flame core, reminded him, "Lord Night Devil, take out the flame core you obtained and absorb its power. Try again and see if you can blast open the ice wall." Okay. In fact, Night Sorrow had also thought of this, but he had not had the time to try it. After Jing Hai finished speaking, he took out the flame core. At this moment, the flame core was no longer as seductive as before. It looked much softer. Night Sorrow absorbed a little and felt that his flame attribute had increased by a lot. After absorbing for about 20 breaths, he felt that the flames he controlled had increased by a level. He immediately raised his hand and attacked, blasting open the ice wall. Then, he left the mystic realm with the Flame Fiend. After successfully leaving the mystic realm, Night Sorrow did not choose to leave the Sea of Sunday. He kept the Flame Fiend in the space. He set up a concealment array on the spot. He continued to absorb the flame core's power. The flame attribute he controlled also rapidly increased. However, after absorbing it, Night Sorrow realized that he could not stop at all. He completely followed the rhythm of the flame core, constantly absorbing and fusing with it. It had lasted for 2,000 years, which was enough to drive him crazy. If I had known earlier, I would have finished absorbing the flame core in the Eternal Divine Tower. 2,000 years later, Night Sorrow's cultivation had advanced to half-step Supreme Realm 3rd stage. The flame attribute he controlled could even kill some half-step Supreme Realm 5th stage experts. However, he was somewhat regretful. At this moment, Jing Hai said, "Supremacy Limitless said that this flame core can only be absorbed in the Sea of Sunday. You did not do anything wrong. Besides, advancing a small realm in 2,000 years is already heaven-defying. What's there to regret? Is that so? That's good." Night Sorrow calmed down when he heard Jing Hai's words. Then, he left the Sea of Sun with Jing Hai, the Flame Fiend, and the Eternal Divine Tower. He stepped on the road back. After not returning for 2,000 years, he was very worried about his friends in the Night Devil territory. Chapter 34-26. 1 second to remember love on *U reading /book wonderful, no pop-up window free reading. It's been 2,000 years. I wonder how my old friends are doing. Some of you should have broken through to the half-step Supreme Realm, right? On the way back, Night Sorrow couldn't help but ponder. In the years since he entered the foggy area, under the pressure of the 3 Supremes, he had been fighting and cultivating. He didn't even have time to see his family, let alone spend time with his friends. In his heart, he felt a little tired. Night Sorrow, what are you thinking about? Are you missing your wife far away? During the flight, Little 7, who hadn't spoken for a long time, sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. He saw a trace of fatigue on Night Sorrow's face. Yes, I miss my family and friends. But when I think of them, I think of the shadow brought by the three Supremes. In order to protect this world, I have to continue to improve my strength quickly. Night Sorrow sighed and continued, it won't be long before they come out to wreak havoc in the world. I have to quickly advance to the Supreme Realm. Then what are your plans for the next step? Little 7 continued to ask. Now, he was the same as Little 2 and didn't know what Night Sorrow's plans were. Of course, I'm going to snatch the Eternal Divine Tower and let you all shine with the glory of the Supreme Realm. Then, I should return to the Eternal Supreme Realm and wipe out all the invading foreign races. Let the Eternal Divine Tower absorb their converted energy. It's better than leaving them to the three Supremes. Night Sorrow continued to send a voice transmission. Now that his cultivation had advanced to the third stage of the half-step Supreme Realm, he judged that he should be able to fight with Nangong-He. So, he was going to snatch the first and third levels of the Eternal Divine Tower. At the same time, he would help Yen Hengshe retrieve some of his bones. Hearing this, Little 5 asked, is this choice more suitable than cultivating in the void? I'm not sure. But I feel that after leaving for a long time, I should go back and see my friends. Night Sorrow explained. He was not prepared to give up on some of the opportunities in the void. However, his current strength had advanced to the half-step Supreme Boundary Grade 3. Furthermore, after obtaining the Flame Core, he already had the strength to do some things. He should choose to return as soon as possible. That's good. Once we recover our limeters, we can also help you quickly increase your strength. After Little 5 finished speaking, he didn't say anything else. As for Night Sorrow, he asked Jinghai about Nangong-He and Andrew, as well as the matter of the 4 cities in the foggy area. After getting the answer he wanted, he sat on the deck of the starship and drank wine in the starry sky. It was rare that he did not continue to cultivate. After flying in this environment for about 100 years, Night Sorrow defeated dozens of star beasts. Bai Wuji, who had been completely subdued, was healed. Finally, they returned to the foggy area. After arriving at the foggy area, Night Sorrow immediately flew towards the Night Devil territory. After thousands of years of war, the foggy area had finally stabilized. Many people were using the resources they had plundered to reach a higher level. For a moment, the entire foggy area was quiet. When he returned to the Night Devil territory, Night Sorrow found that Friend's City was still there. Using his divine soul to investigate, he found that Jia Lin was cultivating in seclusion in the City Lord's mansion. At this moment, her cultivation had already advanced to the third stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. She was much stronger than before. As for the others, he only sensed Yunyi and Xian Nian in the city. At this moment, Yunyi and Xian Nian were both at the peak of the first stage of the half-step Supreme Realm. Their auras were not bad. After arriving at the City Lord's mansion where Jia Lin was, Night Sorrow called Jia Lin, Yunyi, and Xian Nian over. After exchanging a few pleasantries with them, he asked, where did the others go? Why didn't I sense them in the city? Oh. Recently, we found a secret realm in the Night Devil territory that is extremely suitable for cultivation. Everyone is cultivating inside. After Night Sorrow asked, Jia Lin immediately replied. Then, Yunyi also smiled and said, that place is indeed very magical. The cultivation speed is even 10,000 times faster than usual. This is simply too unrealistic. Oh. Where is that secret realm? Take me there to have a look. Hearing this, Night Sorrow was a little surprised. He had never seen a paradise that could increase one's cultivation speed by 10,000 times. There's a teleportation portal in the city that leads there. We'll take you there. Now, almost everyone is cultivating there. As Jia Lin spoke, he, Yunyi, and Xian Nian brought Night Sorrow to the teleportation portal in the city. However, After arriving at the teleportation portal, she suddenly realized that the teleportation portal was not working. The black thorn crystal could not activate it at all. How could this be? Could it be that the teleportation portal there has been destroyed? Realizing that the teleportation portal could not be used, Jia Lin was astonished. Let me try. When Night Sorrow heard this, he immediately tried and realized that the teleportation portal was indeed not working. His heart was suddenly in his throat. He said, immediately teleport to the nearest city. We'll fly to the secret realm. Okay. Jia Lin did not dawdle. He responded and teleported the three of them to Frost City, which was only half a day's journey away from the secret realm. After arriving at Frost City, Night Sorrow said, "Enter my space. I'll take you to the secret realm." Okay. I'll be in charge of leading the way. Xian Nian said immediately after the three of them were taken into Night Sorrow's space. Then, under his command, Night Sorrow, who had raised his strength to the maximum, quickly led the three of them to the secret realm. After about 12 hours, they appeared at the periphery of the secret realm. At this time, the secret realm that could provide for tens of millions of people to cultivate had been sealed. Something must have happened. The entrance could not be entered. This made Jia Lin, who had tried several times, change his expression. At this time, Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe the ripple-like entrance. He said, "There's an array here, so you can't open it." After that, he summoned the restriction-breaking hammers and said, "Both of you, break the array in front of you. We already know what's going on. Don't worry." The male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammers said and began to break the array with the female hammer. After about 2 hours, they successfully broke the array in front of them. Then, Jia Lin opened the entrance and led Night Sorrow and the others into the secret realm. As soon as they entered the secret realm, Night Sorrow felt an extremely powerful aura. This aura had even surpassed half a step to the supreme realm of 5th stage, as if it would step into the supreme realm at any time. He immediately reminded them, "Be careful. There's a super expert here." As he said this, he took Yin Yi and Xian Nian into the space again. Then, side by side with Jia Lin, they walked slowly into the secret realm. At this time, the secret realm was completely different from what Jia Lin had seen before. In the past, the secret realm was definitely a paradise. Now, it was dark and shabby. Moreover, there were strange stone carvings on the stone walls. Chapter 34-27. These evil-looking monster stone carvings recorded the history of some kind of strange beast tribe. However, Night Sorrow and the rest were not in the mood to study it. Using the power of his divine sense, Yishang confidently probed the area and discovered that there was indeed a top-tier exotic beast expert here. This strange beast expert had imprisoned all the people of the Night Demon territory in a sealed array formation. Using the power of the array formation, it was absorbing all of their vitality. The cultivators in the array formation had cultivated for more than 2,000 years with the support of large amounts of resources. More than 30 of them had already advanced to half-step to Supreme Realm. They provided the strange beast expert with a very powerful aura. Sensing all of this, Night Sorrow immediately shouted angrily, "Bastard, stop! Who is it? How dare you disturb the king's cultivation? You deserve to die." Night Sorrow had just opened his mouth when some of the stone carvings on the stone wall jumped down from the stone wall and blocked in front of Night Sorrow. "The person who will kill you." Night Sorrow sized up a total of 9 half-step to Supreme Realm 4th grade strange beasts in front of him. After these strange beasts jumped out of the stone wall, they turned into flesh and blood. He immediately summoned Bai Wuji. Together with Bai Wuji and Jia Lin, they fought the 9 half-step Supreme Realm strange beasts in front of them. Bai Wuji was a half-step Supreme Realm 4th grade, but he was clearly stronger than ordinary 4th grade cultivators. When he erupted, he could basically display the strength of a 5th grade cultivator. Fighting 3 strange beasts alone was not much pressure. Jia Lin was slightly weaker, but he could temporarily block the attacks of 2 strange beasts. As for the remaining 4, they were all dealt with by Night Sorrow. Although he was fighting 4 strange beasts alone, Night Sorrow's efficiency was clearly higher than Bai Wuji and Jia Lin's. Worried about everyone, he immediately activated the 33 Heaven Star Ruin's secret battle technique and destruction divine ability. He used the Ice-Fire Mother-Child Spear and other ultimate techniques on them. Soon, the 4 strange beasts in front of him were killed. Jia Lin, let me help you. After killing the strange beasts in front of him in less than 20 breaths, Night Sorrow began to help Jia Lin kill the 2 strange beasts she was fighting. His speed was extremely shocking. The increase in your strength is too terrifying. Seeing Night Sorrow cutting down exotic beasts half a step to the supreme stage like he was chopping vegetables, Jia Lin was immediately shocked. At this time, Night Sorrow had already begun to help Bai Wuji in battle. This time, they'd annihilated the beast before them in less than 10 breaths of time. Follow me. Night Sorrow roared angrily when he sensed that the aura of the exotic beast expert was gradually increasing. The aura of the people in the Night Demon territory was getting weaker and weaker. Some of them were even directly sucked to death. He was prepared to quickly find the mutated beast expert and kill him. However, they had only taken a few steps when some beasts half a step into the limitless 4th stage jumped out of the stone wall. Although the strange beast this time was only at the 4th grade of half-step supreme realm, its aura was clearly much stronger. Moreover, there were almost 20 of them. Seeing the 20+ strange beasts blocking the way, Bai Wuji immediately frowned and said, "So many strange beasts, I'm afraid it won't be easy to deal with." "There's nothing difficult about it. Watch me." Night Sorrow roared and directly burned his Phoenix bloodline and Jia Lin bloodline. He blasted out the Ice-Fire Mother-Child Spear at the 20+ strange beasts in front of him. This time, he added some flame core energy into the Ice-Fire Mother-Child Spear. After shooting it out, several strange beasts were directly killed. This is too strong. Seeing Night Sorrow kill 4 or 5 half-step supreme stage exotic beasts in one move, Bai Wuji was immediately surprised. According to his judgment, the current Night Sorrow's strength was at least 20 times stronger than when he fought with him. This was an extremely terrifying increase. This is nothing. Compared to the exotic beast expert inside, you're still far from it. Follow me and kill. After Night Sorrow killed a few strange beasts in one move, he went on a killing spree in the tunnel. Bai Wuji and Jia Lin assisted him to complete all kinds of kills. This time, although the strange beasts in the stone carvings were stronger and more numerous, they were quickly killed again. I didn't expect you to have some ability. However, you have to pass through the 8 generals under my command. At this moment, the strange beast that was absorbing the energy of the people in the Night Demon territory made a sound for the first time. After that, 8 strange beasts that seemed to be able to support the heavens jumped out in an instant. These strange beasts looked more ferocious than the other, and their auras were very powerful. Each of them was a half-step supreme stage 5th stage existence. With their path blocked, Jia Lin and Bai Wuji's expressions immediately became very ugly. Bai Wuji could at most fight one of these strange beasts, and it was not easy for Jia Lin to survive under the attack of one of them. Therefore, their hearts were very heavy. According to their judgment, even Night Sorrow could not kill 6 half-step supreme stage exotic beasts alone. After all, they were too strong. Night Sorrow could sense Jia Lin and Bai Wuji's auras and immediately said, "You guys retreat a little, I'll deal with them." Night Demon, you have the ability to fight 8 alone? Hearing this, Bai Wuji immediately asked in surprise. Obviously, according to Night Sorrow's words, he had not used his full strength yet. Looking at it this way, although he was a half-step supreme stage 3rd stage, the combat strength he could unleash was close to the peak of the half-step supreme stage. Whether I can or not, I still have to fight and kill them quickly. Night Sorrow said coldly and sent a voice transmission to Little Fool. Little Fool, prepare to use the attack you prepared. Okay. Although the attack I prepared with Bai Wuji's divine artifact is also a half-step supreme stage 5th stage, it can directly kill 1 or 2 of these strange beasts. Little Fool replied confidently. Okay. Get ready to attack at any time, I'm going to attack. Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe the 8 generals in front of him. Once again, he had Jia Lin and Bai Wuji retreat. With the golden heavenly halberd and the desolate war halberd in hand, he began to fight with them. This time, as soon as the battle began, Night Sorrow burned his Leaken bloodline and used the attack and defense techniques on himself. He raised his state to the extreme. After that, he used the power of the flame core and continuously used the 2 halberds to unleash his ultimate techniques. Under such a level of attack, the half-step supreme stage 5th stage beasts in front of him were basically no different from the 4th stage beasts just now. Soon, Night Sorrow killed 2 or 3 of them. At this time, in order to save time, he suddenly sent a voice transmission. Little Fool, attack. Okay. As Little Fool replied, he cooperated with Night Sorrow and blasted out a half-step supreme stage 5th stage attack. Night Sorrow faced the remaining strange beasts and used the Divine Essence Trap Array and Merit Trap Array, as well as the defense technique, so that they could not escape. After being hit, another 2 strange beasts fell. After that, Night Sorrow unleashed his attack again and killed the remaining strange beasts as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Without stopping, he rushed toward the strange beasts that were absorbing everyone's aura. Chapter 34-28. Damned Ant. How dare you stop this king's good deed? You're courting death. The king-level beast that was absorbing everyone's vitality saw Night Sorrow break through its defenses and attack it. It let out a cold roar and temporarily gave up on absorbing the vitality of the people in the Night Demon territory. It quickly flew over and violently attacked Night Sorrow. Who are you calling an ant? Night Sorrow did not panic at all when facing this beast. He directly used the Void Broken Palm divine ability and forcefully resolved the attack. At this moment, Night Sorrow saw clearly that this peak half-step Supreme Realm Beast King was a beast with a tiger's head, snake's body, and bat wings. This beast gave off an extremely cold and dangerous aura. After resolving the first attack, Night Sorrow immediately used the Golden Heavenly Halberd and the Desolate War Halberd to shoot out the Icefire Mother Spear. This time, he used the strongest essence of the Flame Core in the Icefire Mother Spear. This attack was the highest level attack he had in front of him. After blasting out, with the help of the Merit Trap Array, it successfully bombarded the tiger-headed snake beast. He was sent flying by the explosion. At this moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice, Jia Lin, Bai Wuji, I'll hold him back. You guys go and save him. Awoo. The tiger-headed snake beast that was hit by Night Sorrow was basically immune to his frost power. However, when it was burned by the flames, it immediately let out a mournful howl and became completely berserk. While it was being burned, it also roared and attacked Night Sorrow with an ultimate skill. Several spikes on its back shot out. After these spikes were shot out, each of them bloomed with an evil light. They cut through space and time and strangely shot towards Night Sorrow. As expected of a peak half-step Supreme Realm beast, its attack is almost impossible to dodge. When these spikes shot out, Night Sorrow was sure that he could not dodge this attack with just his speed. Immediately, he formed a Divine Essence Trap Array around him to mitigate these attacks. At the same time, he blasted out the fiery demon's subduing spear into the void, using the scorching heat of the fire core to deal with these sharp thorns with an evil aura. However, even such flames were unable to completely incinerate the spikes. 3 spikes shot through the Divine Essence trapping formation and attacked Night Sorrow one after another. At this time, Night Sorrow used the heaven-defying dragon roaming steps to dodge, but it was too late. 3 consecutive spikes pierced his arm and sternum. After the 3 spikes hit Night Sorrow's arm and sternum, they immediately exploded, causing Night Sorrow to bleed on the spot. The waiter immediately asked with concern, Night Sorrow, are you okay? Are your injuries serious? It's not a fatal wound, it can be healed. Night Sorrow used his Leaken bloodline to heal his wounds and replied to Little Fool. At the same time, he gained a deeper understanding of the tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast's strength. It was a half-step Supreme Realm exotic beast that could advance to the Supreme Realm at any time. Some of its innate attacks were still very powerful. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow put away the Desolation War Halberd while healing his injuries. He cast the Divine Essence Trapping Formation and Merit Trapping Formation, as well as the Defense Seal, at the tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast. After temporarily trapping it, he quickly closed the distance between them and prepared to engage in close combat. To him, he had already used the very powerful Icefire Mother-Child Spear earlier, but the effect seemed to be ordinary. Therefore, he was prepared to find another way. In the process of close combat, he used a spirit attack to cause serious damage to it. He had already discovered that this tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast's defense was extremely shocking. After all, even after being burned at the core level, its defense was still not broken. You want to engage in close combat with this king? How dare you? Seeing that Knight Sorrow chose to engage in close combat, the tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast was not shocked. Instead, it was overjoyed. Immediately, its body became about the same size as Knight Sorrow. It increased its flexibility a lot. After both sides engaged in close combat, Knight Sorrow discovered that his opponent's close combat ability was indeed very strong. Moreover, the strength of its body was as he had imagined. It was almost in an invulnerable state. His continuous attacks did not cause any real damage to it. At this time, the tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast laughed. Haha. An ant that doesn't know anything. Don't you know that in order to advance to the Supreme Realm, the first thing you need to do is to advance your body to an invulnerable state? With your body's strength, you still dare to engage in close combat with this king? You're really courting death. There's such a saying. Doesn't that mean that almost all Supreme Realm Masters have invincible bodies? Hearing this, while Knight Sorrow was surprised, he also understood something. Then, he transmitted his voice to Little Fool. Take the restriction-breaking hammer and go help Jia Lin and Bai Wuji. After you succeed in saving them, you guys leave first. I'll deal with this tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast myself. I'll meet up with you guys later. He felt that he might not be able to completely kill the exotic beast in front of him today. Because this tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast's body had already reached perfection, it was very difficult to completely kill it. Understood. I'll contact you via voice transmission later. Little Fool received Knight Sorrow's voice transmission and replied. At the same time, he immediately controlled the Eternal Divine Tower to fly to help Jia Lin and Bai Wuji. At this time, with Knight Sorrow restraining the tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast, they had already successfully found the place where everyone was trapped. However, they could not break the formation no matter how hard they tried. When Little Fool arrived, he immediately took out the restriction-breaking hammer and asked them to help break the formation. At this time, the tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast was very confident in fighting Knight Sorrow. According to its judgment, Jia Lin, Bai Wuji, and the Eternal Divine Tower flying over did not have the ability to break the formation it had set up. As the battle progressed, Knight Sorrow basically gave up on the idea of killing it. He kept using all kinds of divine spirit attacks to exhaust it. The tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast was not in a hurry. It used all kinds of attacks to attack Knight Sorrow. Through the battle, it had already discovered that Knight Sorrow was not simple and had the intention to devour and refine him. It felt that as long as it absorbed all the energy in Knight Sorrow's body, it would definitely be able to advance to the supreme stage. However, although Knight Sorrow was scratched many times during the battle, he relied on his powerful Leaken bloodline to recover. After fighting for about an hour, the wounds on his body from the 3 spikes had already recovered. It saw Knight Sorrow's recovery ability with its own eyes. The tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast said greedily, "This king will definitely obtain your bloodline today. You can't do it." As Knight Sorrow replied, he used his divine spirit to check the restriction-breaking hammer's movements. Although the restriction-breaking hammer was trying its best to break the formation, its progress was still slow against a formation set up by a quasi-supreme stage expert. Hee. When I was fighting with you just now. This king did not use the strength of a quasi-supreme stage expert at all. I'll let you have a taste of this next. The tiger-headed snake-body exotic beast laughed sinisterly and completely changed its aura. In an instant, its aura became completely different. Chapter 34-29. After the tiger-headed, snake-bodied beast's aura changed, the aura that erupted from its body vaguely had the aura of the supreme state. Night Sorrow had felt this aura from Yen Hengshi before. He immediately became vigilant against the beast. At the same time, he transmitted his voice to Xiong Chui, try to find a way to break the formation as quickly as possible. We're already doing our best, but the strength of this formation is too high. It's beyond what we can handle. Xiong Chui heard the transmission and replied. Ask your friends in the Eternal Divine Tower to help provide some energy or resources so that you can advance on the spot. Night Sorrow was already very risky to transmit his voice while facing the tiger-headed, snake-bodied beast. He no longer had the energy to talk to Xiao about this. After replying to Xiong Chui, he activated all the statuses, including the Star Ruin power, and prepared to face the Beast King's challenge. Die for this king. After the tiger-headed, snake-bodied Beast King raised his aura, he sensed that Night Sorrow's Leaken bloodline was at the supreme level. His heart trembled, and he wanted to take it for himself. With a roar, he took out a snake staff and smashed it at Night Sorrow. This move seemed ordinary, but it contained the power of the quasi-supreme state. This was something that Night Sorrow did not possess yet. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that he should not use the Golden Heavenly Halberd or the Desolation Halberd to take it head-on. Therefore, he condensed the Star Ruin power and attacked the snake staff with the Star Ruin Motherchild Spear. Boom! The Star Ruin Motherchild Spear was one of Night Sorrow's strongest attacks. After bombarding the Beast King's snake staff, it immediately repelled the tiger-headed, snake-bodied Beast King. This not only surprised the tiger-headed, snake-bodied Beast King, but also Night Sorrow. What kind of power is this? Why is it so strong? He was puzzled when the Beast King with the snake staff was repelled. He did not know what kind of power Night Sorrow had used. At this moment, Night Sorrow also did not understand. He did not expect the Star Ruin power to have such an effect. This power was even stronger than the flame core he had just controlled. He thought to himself, if that's the case, what kind of effect will the combination of the Star Ruin's power and the core of the flame produce? With that in mind, Night Sorrow shot out the Motherchild gun again while the strange Beast King was still in shock. This time, he used the flame as the sub-spear and the power of the Star Ruins as the main spear. The Beast King immediately used its footwork to dodge. However, at this moment, Night Sorrow once again executed the Divine Origin Trapping Formation, the Merit Trapping Formation, and the Defense Seal. Instantly, the Beast King's speed was greatly reduced. Damn it! The primal chaos was formed by nature. The trapped exotic Beast King sneered coldly. Suddenly, he executed another ultimate technique in the trap formation. When this ultimate skill was used, its power was clearly stronger than the snake staff's attack just now. In fact, it was much, much bigger. So you didn't dodge out of fear. Instead, you made me choose to exchange blows with you again. Night Sorrow, who was paying attention to the Beast King with the sea serpent's eye, immediately saw through his thoughts. However, right now, he was filled with boundless confidence. He didn't choose to dodge at all. Instead, he chose to clash head-on with the exotic Beast King. After the two's attacks collided, Night Sorrow and the exotic Beast King's bodies kept retreating because of the backlash. They both crashed into the wall behind them and sank deep into it. No wonder you're so confident. It turns out that this chaos is really powerful. Night Sorrow, who had been blasted into the stone wall, felt his body and realized that he had almost been killed by the collision. There were at least 20 wounds on his body, and each of them was so deep that his bones could be seen. he didn't leave the stone wall. Instead, he took out a few pills from the space and swallowed them. Then, he activated the Leakin bloodline and recovered quickly. However, although the Leakin bloodline's recovery ability was extremely powerful, it was not enough to let him recover his combat ability in a moment. At this moment, Knight Sorrow used the power of his divine soul to sense the exotic beast king in the distance and found that its situation wasn't much better. It was also recovering in the stone wall. However, what surprised Knight's Sorrow was that the exotic beast king's recovery speed was even faster than his, who had the Leakin bloodline. He immediately began to ponder what was going on. After thinking for a while, Knight's Sorrow recalled the exotic beasts he had encountered when he had just entered the mystic realm. He guessed, this exotic beast king and I are both injured now. The reason why it can recover so quickly must be related to the stone wall or the array. If we allow him to recover at this rate, we might all die here. At this thought, Knight Sorrow immediately sent a voice transmission to Bai Wuji. Bai Wuji, the exotic beast king in the stone wall is seriously injured now. It can't attack. Get it out of the stone wall. Yes, my lord. Bai Wuji, who couldn't help with the restriction-breaking hammer, immediately called for Jialin. They came near the stone wall where the exotic beast king was and started attacking it. At this time, the exotic beast king was very regretful. Why did he send out all his generals? If he hadn't sent them out, he would be invincible now. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Helpless, he could only drag his injured body and use the power of his bloodline to forcefully respond. Attacking in such a situation was equivalent to risking his life, but he had no other choice. However, his strength was much higher than Jialin and Bai Wuji's. Although the two of them attacked with all their might, they were all neutralized. This made Bai Wuji very angry, and he felt that he was too useless. Knight Sorrow, who was using the power of his soul to check the situation, reminded the two of them, just delay it. Don't push it too far. Otherwise, the exotic beast king will self-destruct and die with us. My lord, I will be careful. Hearing this, Bai Wuji immediately reacted. Actually, this kind of battle was very good, and he was no longer obsessed with it. As for Knight Sorrow, he quickly recovered. Seeing that the situation was not good, the exotic beast king hesitated for a moment and finally decided to give up. Chao Jilin and Bai Wuji unleashed a heavenly primal chaos art before diving back into the stone walls to escape. The exotic beast king's speed was not something that Jialin and Bai Wuji could catch up to. They could only helplessly give up the chase. At this time, Knight Sorrow slowly came out of the stone wall and said, "It's okay. We were able to force a quasi-supreme venerable to retreat. It's already a success. You're so badly injured. You'd better recuperate quickly." Jialin immediately reminded him when he saw the many wounds on Knight Sorrow's body. "I'm fine. Let's go and see our friends who are trapped." Knight Sorrow, who was walking slowly toward the array, kept an eye on the exotic beast king. However, the exotic beast king did not appear. It must have escaped. Then, under Yi Shang's gaze, he used the restriction-breaking hammer, which had been raised to the peak of the 4th grade of the half-supreme realm, to successfully break the formation. After the array was broken, Knight Sorrow checked it, and his expression became serious. Chapter 34-30. The people of the Night Demon territory in the formation were all extremely weak. Most of them had fainted, and some of them had lost their lives. They had obviously died. There were quite a number of them who had died, about 70 to 80. These cultivators were basically at the lower heavenly supreme level, and were considered weak in the Night Demon territory. They had all died from having their vitality and blood sucked dry. Save them, hurry up and save them. Seeing the situation in front of him, Knight Sorrow swore to himself that he would definitely kill the exotic beast king to avenge today's grudge. However, at this moment, he had no time to think about other things. He immediately began to save people. Using his Leakin bloodline, he helped cultivators recover one after another. Brother Yi, you're finally here. Quick, help me check on Feng Shui. When Wan Jianzong recovered a little and woke up, he immediately said excitedly when he saw Night Sorrow. He was very worried about his wife. Don't worry, Feng Shui is fine. Don't say anything else. Immediately take a pill and recover your vitality. Night Sorrow used the power of merit to purify some of the negative aura on Wan Jianzong's body and handed him a pill. Then, he went to Xiao Tianxuan's side. While treating him, he asked, Brother Xiao, what's going on? He felt that Xiao Tianxian should know the ins and outs of the matter since he did not faint. After we discovered this secret realm, we have been cultivating here. In the first few years of cultivation, our strength increased at an astonishing speed, so we summoned everyone here. But a few days ago, the entire secret realm suddenly changed. The exotic beast king led many subordinates and rushed out of the stone wall. They attacked everyone. Although we have many half-step supreme realm cultivators, we are no match for them. At this point, Xiao Tianxian sighed and said, so we were all locked in this formation. Then, the exotic beast king began to use the formation to absorb everyone's vitality and blood essence to increase his strength. Bastard. So that's how it is. This should be a trap set up by the exotic beast king, using resources to bait everyone. After listening to Xiao Tianxian, Night Sorrow realized that it was similar to his judgment. Then, he continued, Brother Xiao, where do you think those things came from? I've never heard of such a tribe in the foggy area. What he meant was to find the nest of the exotic beasts and kill them all to eliminate the threat. In my opinion, they probably came from the underground of the night demon territory. After all, before this, there were no traces of them in our night devil territory. If they were in other territories, then they would attack on the people of other territories. Xiao Tianxuan's exotic beasts. I'll do a thorough search later and try my best to kill the Beast King and its entire race. Yi Shang nodded and said coldly. Night Sorrow, this is the wine I brought from my hometown. You've worked hard recently. Try it. Xiao Tianxian looked at the injuries on Night Sorrow's body and felt his heart ache. He took out a jar of wine and handed it to him. This jar of wine was brought up by him from the divine realm. It was the last jar in his hands. Thank you, Brother Xiao. When Night Sorrow heard that this jar of wine came from his hometown, he immediately understood that it was a product of the divine realm. He took it and drank it boldly. For a moment, he felt as if he had returned to the divine realm. He thought to himself, family, wait for me. Once I finish off the 3 supreme venerables, we'll meet again. After finishing the jar of wine, Night Sorrow began to treat the injured cultivators of the night demon territory again. Those who had recovered a little also began to help. It took more than a day to wake up all the cultivators who had fainted. However, those who had been sucked dry of vitality and blood essence did not wake up. Let's bury everyone. After that, I'll bring you to find the nest of the exotic beast. I'll avenge everyone. Dozens of cultivators had died in the territory all of a sudden. Night Sorrow's heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. He said coldly and began to bury all the cultivators with the others. Then, he put everyone into the eternal divine tower and brought them into the stone walls of the secret realm to search for the whereabouts of the exotic beast king. Although he had the sea serpent's eye, he could not see anything with his divine eye. Thus, he used the tracking secret technique he had learned from the Horn clan and began to track the exotic beast king from its aura. After all, they had fought for so long just now. Night Sorrow naturally controlled the aura of the exotic beast king. Then, he led everyone to follow the aura and dig underground. They dug about 30,000 miles. Night Sorrow suddenly entered a world filled with stone carvings. After arriving here, he immediately felt the strong aura of the exotic beast king and immediately led people to chase in its direction. It actually chased here? How is this possible? The exotic beast king, who was recovering in its nest, quickly discovered Night Sorrow's arrival and was instantly terrified. That was because he sensed that Night Sorrow's aura was much stronger than his. In a panic, he summoned 50 to 60 half-step Supreme Realm exotic beasts and had them stop Night Sorrow. He was prepared to escape again. Trying to escape. It's not that easy. Today, whether it's you or your clan, you will all be destroyed. After Night Sorrow used his divine spirit to detect the exotic beast king's aura, he immediately flew in its direction. The half-step Supreme Realm exotic beasts that were blocking him were basically no match for him. If one came, he would kill one. If two came, he would kill a pair. Good job. Seeing Night Sorrow killing the exotic beasts one by one so bravely, Master Myriad Swords shouted happily. In the formation, they had been tortured by the exotic beast king and hated the entire exotic beast tribe to death. Don't worry, I will kill all of them. Night Sorrow replied after hearing Master Myriad Swords' words and continued to chase after the exotic beast king. Although the exotic beast king had been commanding its subordinates to stop him, it could not stop Night Sorrow from chasing after it. Not long after, it was blocked by Night Sorrow at the exit of this small world. Looking at the extremely weak exotic beast king, Night Sorrow said coldly, "Heaven's net has long arms. Do you think you can escape after killing someone? Die." With a loud roar, he unleashed the power of ice on the Ice King. If it was at its peak, this kind of power of frost would not have any effect at all. However, now that it was used, it immediately trembled and felt incomparable fear. Chapter 34-31. Moreover, Night Sorrow's powerful aura also made the Beast King very afraid. It couldn't even think of fighting back. It only wanted to escape as soon as possible. But at this moment, its speed was obviously affected by the power of ice. It was basically impossible for it to escape now that it was blocked. At this moment, Night Sorrow sneered, "You still want to escape? Where do you think you're going?" Then, he shot the mother-child spear, which was a combination of the power of the star ruins and the power of fire, at the Beast King. This time, he didn't use the divine essence trapping array, the merit trapping array, and the defense spell. But the injured Beast King still couldn't avoid it. Helpless, the Beast King could only burn its bloodline to resist this move. After being hit, the Beast King's body directly exploded in the void. Countless blood essence and vital energy spewed out of its body. These were all absorbed by the Beast King from the cultivators. They didn't belong to it at all. Under the condition of being seriously injured, it could no longer control it. "Spare me. Spare me, my king. I'm willing to submit. I'm willing to submit to you." Under such circumstances, the Beast King immediately knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. When you tortured and killed others, you should have known that you would end up like this. Your begging is useless. He was willing to accept people like Bai Wuji, who attacked Night Sorrow and was later subdued. But Night Sorrow had no intention of accepting people like the Beast King whose hands were stained with the blood of his friends. He replied coldly and sent a voice transmission to Little Fool, "Keep it in the Eternal Divine Tower and turn it into energy. Keep it as backup." "Okay, I've been waiting for you to say that. After absorbing this quasi-level, we can definitely brew an even more terrifying attack." With that, Little Fool took the Beast King into his storage ring. After the Eternal Divine Tower absorbed the Beast King, Night Sorrow summoned everyone. He brought them, who had not completely recovered, to kill all the beasts in the small world. Then, after investigating, Night Sorrow discovered that cultivating in this small world increased his strength very quickly. Although it wasn't 10 million times faster, it was hundreds of times faster than other places in the foggy area. He immediately began to set up a formation here. After setting up the formation, Night Sorrow left some of the people from the two worlds here. He brought Xiao Tianxian, the 10,000 Swords sect, and the others back to Friends Gathering City. After returning this time, Night Sorrow didn't leave immediately. After catching up with his friends, he stayed in the city and cultivated for a few years. It took him about 200 years to perfectly fuse the Star Ruins energy and the Flame energy, and create a new unique skill, the Infinite Starfire Spear and the Starfire Motherchild Spear. Only then did he bid farewell to his friends and set off on his journey again. However, he didn't immediately take the eternal divine tower to the first and third floors. Instead, he chose to return to the eternal ancient barren world to visit Wu Lingfei and Jing Yun. So many years had passed, and he missed his family very much. However, the others were in the immortal realm, so it was inconvenient for him to visit them. He could only visit the two women. When they reached the periphery of the eternal ancient barren world, Night Sorrow realized that the array he had set up was not destroyed. This meant that in all these years, no one had entered the eternal ancient barren world through the entrance. He immediately calmed down. However, when they arrived at the residence of the two women, Night Sorrow's heart skipped a beat. Because in addition to the two women, there was also a young man who was practicing his spear. The young man looked to be about 16 or 17 years old, but his cultivation was already a lower honorable. His marksmanship was quite decent as well. After probing the young man's aura, Night Sorrow determined that this was his and Wu Lingfei's child. He quickly flew down from the void and looked at the young man. "What's your name? Who are you?" Seeing Night Sorrow's arrival, the young man immediately asked in alarm. "Haha. Child, I'm your father." Yi Shang smiled as he looked at his son in front of him. Through the eye of the sea serpent, he discovered that this child was much stronger than his other children. Even in terms of cultivation talent, he was much more talented than him. He lamented, "With such talent, isn't it a waste to stay here and live in seclusion?" However, thinking that his cultivation path was so difficult, it was actually a good choice to let his child enjoy a life that was not in harmony with the world. The young man in front of him heard Night Sorrow say that he was his father. He immediately sized up Night Sorrow with his dark eyes. He looked at him again and felt that he really looked like the father that his mother had described. He originally wanted to ask something. But after thinking for a while, he transmitted his voice to Wu Lingfei. "Mother, someone came here. He said that he is my father. Jifei, be careful." Hearing this, Wu Lingfei immediately became alert and flew out of the room. When she saw that the person who came was indeed Night Sorrow, an indescribable smile immediately appeared on her face. At the same time, her eyes were filled with tears. They had not seen each other for thousands of years. Now that she saw Night Sorrow suddenly appear, her feelings were indescribable. "Lingfei, it's been hard on you all these years." When Night Sorrow saw Wu Lingfei appear, his mood was very complicated. He flew over and hugged her in his arms. The two of them chatted for a while before Wu Lingfei looked at Yi Jifei and said, "Jifei, why haven't you paid your respects to father? The reason why we can live comfortably here is all because your father is fighting outside." "Yes." Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Yi Jifei immediately knelt down and said, "This child pays his respects to father. I wonder if father can give this child some pointers on his spear skills." "Haha. Of course," Yi Shang said with a smile. Between him and Yi Jifei, blood was thicker than water. Although it was the first time they met after so many years, they could feel a sense of closeness from a few words. After that, Night Sorrow and Jing Yun exchanged some pleasantries and began to give pointers to Yi Jifei on his spear skills. Under Night Sorrow's guidance, Yi Jifei's spear skills improved very quickly. For the next 10 years, Night Sorrow was immersed in this kind of life. However, one day, after 10 years, Yunyi suddenly transmitted a message, "Night Sorrow, something big happened in the fog area. Do you want to come back?" "Oh. What happened in the misty area?" Night Sorrow immediately responded when he received the voice transmission. "Recently, on a mountain peak in the fog area, a tree that can bear supreme fruit appeared. There are already several fruits on it. I heard that after eating these fruits, although they can't really help one become supreme paragon, they can raise one's cultivation by one level. This is a good opportunity for you," Yunyi hurriedly explained. Hearing this, Night Sorrow knew that he had to try his luck. Embarrassed, he immediately told Jing Yun, Wu Lingfei, and Yi Jifei about this matter. The two girls knew that Night Sorrow couldn't miss this opportunity, so naturally, they didn't have any objections. However, Yi Zhifei clamored to leave the eternal ancient desolate world with Night Sorrow. He wanted to go out and see the world. This put Night Sorrow in a difficult position. Chapter 34-32. Because the foggy area was too chaotic, it was hard for Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei to gain a foothold. Not to mention a child like Yi Zhifei. And Night Sorrow had his own matters to attend to, so he had no time to take care of them. It was even more impossible for him to keep them in the space while he was fighting for resources. That would be risking the lives of the entire family. Thus, he said, Zhifei, the foggy area is now in complete chaos. Even a half-step to the Supreme Realm Master could be killed in a second. It will be very dangerous for you and Mother to go there. Or wait for Father to eliminate the threat there before you go together, is that all right? At this time, without waiting for Yi Zhifei to speak, Wu Lingfei asked, how are the others? Brother Xiao and Brother Wan are still all right. They have all advanced to half-step extreme realm. But a few days ago, 70 or 80 people from the two realms died. Night Sorrow said sadly. Among the cultivators of the two realms, there weren't many who had potential, and now so many had died. AI. The dead are gone, don't be sad. But since everyone is fighting, there is no reason for us to stay here. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and said with certainty, we have been hiding here and it is very safe. But the gap between us and everyone is so big, this feeling is very uncomfortable. In fact, she had experienced countless battles. Although she felt happy to stay here with Jing Yun and her son, she always felt a little awkward. It was as if the whole world was separated. After her son expressed his wish, she decided to take him to the outside world. Since you think so, I will bring you to the foggy area. But I can only leave you in the city. Is that okay? After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, Night Sorrow said guiltily. Hearing this, Wu Lingfei smiled and said, don't worry, although we are weak now, we can catch up. At worst, we will live if the city dies. All right then. Night Sorrow looked at his son Yi Zhifei and said, when you get there, cultivate well and become strong quickly. You are more talented than your father, your aunt, and your siblings. Understood, father. Zhifei will be the strongest in the future. Yi Zhifei said and looked into the distance with anticipation. Since he was born, he had only seen 3 people, Wu Lingfei, Jing Yun and Night Sorrow. Speaking of which, he was a little pitiful. Good. Father believes in you. Night Sorrow said with a smile and asked, Lingfei, have you told your son about your hometown? But I'll leave it to you. Wu Lingfei said with a smile. She stood with Jing Yun and looked at Yishan. Night Sorrow smiled and said, along the way, I will tell you about some of the things that happened in my hometown. Child, remember, no matter where we are, we must remember where we came from. He couldn't forget his roots. Do you understand? Yes. Yes. Yi Zhifei made a sound of acknowledgement and asked, respected father, can you tell me about your cultivation process? Mother doesn't know about these things. Said. Night Sorrow replied and began to explain his cultivation journey along the way. While talking about these things, he also recalled the years of the past, which could be considered as giving himself a good time to relax. In this relaxed state, he suddenly felt that the power of his divine spirit seemed to have strengthened a lot. However, this kind of good time was short-lived after all. When they reached Gathering Friends City, Night Sorrow brought his wife and child to meet with Xiao Tianxian, Myriad Sword Sect and others. He went to the peak of the Supreme Fruit Tree with Jia Lin and Bai Wuji. Before they even reached the mountain peak, they had already encountered many powerful cultivators. Needless to say, these people must have locked onto the Supreme Fruit Tree. When they reached the peak of the Supreme Fruit Tree, Night Sorrow found that dozens of people had already gathered here. After observing for a while, Jia Lin said, the people who came are all from the various territories now. Most of them are from Lu Tian Academy. Oh. Most of them are from Lu Tian Academy. Do you know any of them? Knight Sorrow did not activate his divine spirit. He chose to use the sea serpent's eye to observe everyone. A few of them are friends, but most of them are enemies. Most of them are from Nangong He and Andrew's side. After saying that, Jia Lin looked around vigilantly, wary of being ambushed. Don't be too nervous. Although most of them are from Nangong He and Andrew's side, they are definitely fighting for themselves. As long as they don't swarm up, there won't be any problems. Knight Sorrow had already detected that the strongest people here were 3 quasi-extreme realm cultivators, so he still had some confidence in his heart. After all, he had already fought with the Beast King and killed it. Now, the Eternal Divine Tower had absorbed all of its energy and produced 3 quasi-supreme level attacks. All right. Jia Lin replied. She looked around and found that her 3rd grade half-step quasi-extreme realm cultivation was already the lowest among the people present. At this moment, a team of 4 people suddenly flew over here. The leading female cultivator looked at Jia Lin with a cold expression and said, Jia Lin, I didn't expect you to dare to come here with your strength. Your strength isn't much higher than mine. Jia Lin glanced at the other party. This was the elder sister of a student from the same batch as her. That student from the same batch had wanted to use force to make her submit, but in the end, she had been killed. Because of this, she had formed a death grudge with this female cultivator in front of her. Hearing this, Humei smiled coldly and said, when the battle begins, you will understand that you shouldn't have come. After saying that, she didn't make a move and directly flew in another direction. Are they enemies? After Humei and the others flew away, Knight Sorrow immediately asked. Jia Lin nodded and said, they are enemies. This time, I'm afraid I've implicated you. It's okay. Among the 4 of them, 2 are at the 4th grade of the half-step quasi-extreme realm, and 2 are at the 5th grade. They aren't much of a threat. Knight Sorrow said indifferently and then asked, by the way, when I was in Lu Tian Academy, why didn't I hear that there were so many geniuses in the academy? Back then, weren't there only 33 Star-Lords in the middle of the academy? Many of these people are elders. Moreover, their strength has increased in the past few thousand years. You also know that in the past few thousand years, it has become much easier to increase one's strength in the fog area. Jia Lin explained. That makes sense. By the way, who are those 3 quasi-extreme realm cultivators? Knight Sorrow pointed at the 3 strongest people present and asked. They are the 3 vice deans, the 3 genius students who have the most benefits under them. Jia Lin said. Just as he was about to say their names, someone inside shouted, it's ripe, the fruit is ripe. Chapter 34-33. It's ripe? The supreme supremacy fruit is ripe? Everyone's attention was attracted by the words. Some of them even went berserk without even checking the situation. They squeezed toward the supreme supremacy fruit tree. In fact, they knew that the supreme supremacy fruit would not ripen at this moment, but they wanted to use this as an excuse to rush in and occupy the advantageous terrain. Many people were displeased by this. After all, there were only 9 supreme supremacy fruits on the supreme supremacy fruit tree. Some of the cultivators who rushed in were attacked by other cultivators before they could even get close to the supreme supremacy fruit tree. A battle immediately broke out when someone attacked. Before Knight Sorrow and the others could gain a foothold, they witnessed a chaotic battle in the central area with their own eyes. At this moment, Bai Wuji asked, Sir, should we take the opportunity to go in too? They were at the outermost area. If the supreme supremacy fruit ripened now, it would be difficult for the 3 of them to get anything. After observing for a while, Knight Sorrow said, according to my observation, the supreme supremacy fruit will not ripen in a short time. We are not in a hurry. Let's observe for a while before we make further plans. How long until it ripens? I wonder if we can get 1 or 2 supreme supremacy fruits. Jia Lin looked at the supreme supremacy fruit tree and asked. The 9 supreme supremacy fruits on the tree looked crystal clear. They were no different from divine fruits in the eyes of ordinary people. Judging from the aura, it will take at least 1 or 2 months. I can't tell the exact time. However, no matter what, we must get the Supreme Supremacy fruit. Night Sorrow said after observing with the sea serpent's eye. If he could get the Supreme Supremacy fruit, his cultivation would soon reach the 4th grade of the half-step Supreme Supremacy realm. It would be a huge improvement. As long as he did not encounter the Supreme Supremacy realm, he should be able to do whatever he wanted in the foggy area. It would be a great advantage for him to snatch the Eternal Divine Tower. Then, before Jialin and Bai Wuji could speak, he continued, I haven't finished speaking. Who are the 3 genius students? Night Sorrow was still a little wary of the 3 people in front of him. If they joined forces, he would not be a match for them at all with Jialin and Bai Wuji. As for the battle before them, they were not involved because the 3 of them did not move at all and they were too far away. Apart from the 3 experts that Night Sorrow had mentioned, the rest of the people occupied the most advantageous positions. As the scale of the battle gradually expanded, some of the cultivators who were involved in the battle had already come to a realization. That was, the battle in front of them had already escalated to the level of fighting for the advantageous positions. They had basically tacitly agreed that whoever was stronger would be able to occupy the advantageous position. At this moment, Jialin said, look at that white-robed male cultivator. His name is Chen Xing and he's one of the strongest cultivators in teacher Ji Xian's faction. The red-robed female cultivator was called Feng Qingshuang. She was Nangong He's last disciple. As for the man with the gloomy look on his face, his name is Sutton. He's Andrew's younger brother. The way I see it, the strength of the 3 of them has already surpassed that of the 3 vice deans. After observing the trio's Night Sorrow, he made his judgment. At least, the last time he saw Nangong He and the others, the 3 of them were not as good as these people in front of him. I'm not sure about that. It's been a while since I've seen the 3 vice deans. He wondered if their strength had changed again. Recently, the strength of cultivators in the foggy area has been increasing rapidly. It seems to have become a common occurrence. Jia Lin looked at the battle in front of him and said. At this moment, the battle was getting more and more intense. Many people had already fallen in the battle. Moreover, other than the 3 great experts inside and Night Sorrow and the others outside, everyone else had already participated in the battle. Not a single one was left out. The female cultivator who had provoked Jia Lin just now had already fallen in the battle. This made Jia Lin quite speechless. Originally, he thought that he would fight against Hu Mei. I think that the recent changes in the foggy area should be planned by the 3 Supreme Venerables. Their goal is to nurture more experts, or even Supreme Venerables, for themselves to devour and increase their strength. The Supreme Venerable fruit in front of us should be the same. Night Sorrow, who was observing the battle, transmitted his voice to Jia Lin. How could there be such a thing? If the 3 of them come out of seclusion, they would be invincible in the world. Doesn't that mean that the better the cultivation, the more dangerous it is? Are you sure about this? Jia Lin transmitted his voice in disbelief. Even his thoughts of quickly increasing his strength were affected. I'm basically sure. However, rapidly increasing one's strength is not only accompanied by danger. It may also mean that one can control their own fate. It can't be that as long as they are here, the foggy area will never produce a Supreme Venerable, right? Night Sorrow transmitted his voice. He knew that Jia Lin's Tao heart would be affected after hearing this, so he immediately comforted him. However, Jia Lin was more tenacious than Night Sorrow had imagined. She continued, the 3 of them are the strongest, so they stand at the top of the food chain. If we want to break free from their control, we can only become stronger than them. Nurturing a Supreme Venerable might be their biggest mistake. Every one of them is above the 5th stage of the Supreme Venerable realm. Even if they manage to nurture a Supreme Venerable, it will be difficult for them to pose a threat. This is where the 3 of them are confident. However, this is indeed our chance. Night Sorrow said with certainty. If not for the 3 Supreme Venerables creating all kinds of opportunities in the foggy area, who knew how many years it would take for them to become Supreme Venerables? Fifth stage. This is indeed a huge gap. No matter what, let's take one step at a time. If one learns the truth in the morning, one can die in the evening. Even if we become supreme venerables, we will be devoured immediately. Then, our cultivation will not be in vain. Jia Lin said with some yearning. There was no cultivator who did not want to break through to the supreme venerable realm. That's right. However, I don't think they can do whatever they want. Night Sorrow said and did not say anything else. Instead, he observed the battle in front of him with Jia Lin and Bai Wuji. He used the sea serpent's eye to observe almost everyone's moves. He was already very confident. Therefore, after the battle in front of them was over and the remaining people had occupied their positions, Night Sorrow said, Jia Lin, Bai Wuji, follow me. After saying that, he led Jia Lin and Bai Wuji and used his movement technique to fly near the three experts. They were not closer to the supreme venerable fruit tree than they were, but they were also not further away. Who are these three people? How dare they challenge the three of them? Aren't they courting death? Seeing Night Sorrow bring people to where Chen Xing and the others were, everyone was puzzled. If Night Sorrow and the others had stayed near them just now, these people would have definitely attacked. However, they felt that flying to the territory of the three experts was not something they should be concerned about. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.